Good morning. Welcome to what's been a frustrating morning, technology wise. My computer decided it needed to force an update and took about an hour to do so. So I'm finally here. And I'm just going to jump straight in to the Darrell Brooks trial, day 5. Let's see what crazy antics he has today. Hopefully, we can get caught up over breaks. If not, it'll be a very short lunch for me. And we'll see. Yesterday, Brooks kept every break he'd harangue the judge about jurisdiction, claiming the court doesn't have subject matter jurisdiction, which it does. And Judge Darrow finally shut him down and said, "I've already ruled. If
Calling
bring an oral,
State of Wisconsin versus
bring a written
Darrell A.
motion."
Brooks, case number 21 CF 1848.
So I
May
wonder
have
if he's
the
done that.
appearances, please.
Morning, Judge. Sue Osborne, Daisy and Zach Waukesha appearing for the state.
Sir, would you please state your name for the record?
I am here as a third-party intervener in that
Oh.
matter, appearing as authorized representative for my client. I accept for value in return for value all of the charging instruments in this matter and make my exemption available for discharge of all obligations and charges connected with this case. I do not dispute any of the facts in the charging instruments.
He doesn't dispute any
Correct the record
facts.
to reflect that the individual known to this
That's
court
an
as
admission.
the
He said
defendant,
he
Darrell
doesn't
Brooks, is
dispute any
present
facts in the
in court. He's
information.
in custody, but he is wearing street clothes. He's wearing a suit and tie
That's an
and a
that's an
mask.
admission
And good morning
outside the
once again
presence of the
to
jury, but
everyone.
Also, for the record, not identified by
It's
that
on
name
the
or consent to
record.
being called that name.
he agrees with all the facts. He doesn't dispute them.
So noted.
And he went
Right,
full
Mr.
sovereign
Brooks, do you
citizen to
have
start the morning.
A
Straight from
13th
script.
subpoena.
All BS.
As we discussed yesterday, you wanted to call 13 witnesses. I told you you had until this morning to fill out another subpoena and give it to the state so that they could review it.
Yes,
Once
I do.
again, he's very
Can
late
you hand
on
that
his
to the bailiff,
subpoenas,
please?
but the court is being very
Let's take a
lenient.
look at it quick.
And good morning, Darlene. Sorry I'm late. Technology problems, as I mentioned. I expect him to get worse and worse as the trial drags on, and for Judge Darrow to have less and less patience.
Mr. Brooks, I'm reviewing this for
Is this a
completeness,
spoiler static?
and you have simply put on here, State of Wisconsin plaintiff. That's an entity. You have to name a person, sir. Well, the date we will fill in. So I'll have it shown to the state, and they can let me know their position on that.
Any legal basis why that would not be accepted, Your Honor?
Okay, well, don't
have
give
to
me any
have a
spoilers. I haven't seen
Person
any of it.
named, sir, so that they can come and testify. You only have an entity named.
He's trying to subpoena the state of
Not true
Wisconsin.
that under the Sixth Amendment, I have the right to face my accuser.
Seriously? He's subpoenaing the state of
Mr. Brooks, let me hear
Wisconsin.
from the state.
Yes, Your Honor, I agree with the court's assessment. The subpoena does not state a person. The subpoena form specifically indicates that the person
Jesus.
requesting the subpoena is to indicate the witness's name and address.
I mean, he could
Mr. Brooks has
subpoena
simply
the
written the
mayor
word state
or
of
the
Wisconsin
governor.
For the witness name, the state of Wisconsin is an entity. It's not a person. the state of Wisconsin
I
cannot
mean,
testify
the subpoena
at these
wouldn't be
proceedings, so
granted
the
because
subpoena should be rejected, Your Honor.
if they have,
Your
it's
Honor,
ridiculous.
on the grounds that every document that was filed in this matter stated that the state of Wisconsin was the plaintiff, which would lead me to believe that the state of Wisconsin is who's bringing the claim against my client.
He's
How
a
could they not be
moron.
subpoenaed to testify if they're the plaintiff? And under the Sixth Amendment, I have the right to face my accuser. My accuser in this matter is the plaintiff, which is the state of Wisconsin. Attorney Opper also brought up that it didn't have an address on there. None of my subpoenas had addresses, as we went on the record, and that was stated that a lot of the paperwork that I have don't have a lot of the people's addresses on there. Those subpoenas were accepted, so I don't see the difference with this subpoena not
they
being
were
for the
accepted
reasons that Attorney Opper just
because the
stated.
court is giving you special treatment.
Mr. Brooks, in relation to that subpoena,
And they were
based
subpoenas
upon my
for
review for
people.
completeness, this court would note you have not named a person, you've named an entity. And the subpoena will be kept on file as part of the court record,
Jesus.
but I'm not going to require the state of Wisconsin to
I'm surprised he's
testify
not
in this
subpoenaing
case
the Grinch from
because they
the
are an entity and you have not named
float.
a person.
Are they not, or are they not the plaintiff, Your Honor?
They are the plaintiff in this case, sir.
And why are they not able to testify, being that
Sir,
they?
you've named an entity, not a person. People are called to the
You
witness
can
stand
subpoena
to
a
testify.
representative
You have had
of
an
the state of
opportunity to
Wisconsin.
cross-examine every single person who has been called by the state to testify in this trial.
Just like if you sue
I
Tesla,
believe
you can't have Tesla.
that your Sixth Amendment rights have
show
been
up.
complied with.
You
Not
can
if
have
I'm not
Elon
allowed
Musk
to face my
subpoenaed,
accuser, Your
but you
Honor.
can't have
My
Tesla.
accuser in this matter would be the state of Wisconsin. And with all
Sir,
due
I believe your
respect,
Sixth Amendment rights in that regard have been complied with.
With all due
I'm
respect,
requesting
I'm going to
a written
show no
judicial
respect at
finding
all.
of fact and conclusion of law on this issue, for the grounds that I just stated. It was seen based on the Sixth Amendment
No,
that I'm not being awarded the chance to face my accuser, which I should be awarded that
awarded.
based on the Sixth Amendment. If I'm not able to face my accuser, then how can the claim even stand? How can a claim be brought against my client if I'm not able to face
Against your
the accuser?
client.
So this case is a criminal case in a court of competent jurisdiction in the state of Wisconsin, Waukesha County. This case was initiated initially by the filing of a criminal complaint. Then there was a preliminary hearing where probable cause was found. After that point, there was an information that was filed. And at some point, an amended complaint, perhaps even a second amended complaint, was filed as well, putting you on notice of the charges and the factual basis for those charges, along with the statutes
I think he's
that
submitted
are
his
alleged to have
application
been
for
violated.
that award.
I'm not going to explain any further
I can't
why
talk this
you can't
morning.
call the state of Wisconsin in the way that you've subpoenaed them or attempted to subpoena them for the reasons I've already stated. I understand where you might disagree with the court's ruling, but my ruling stands, and I'm not requiring the plaintiff in this case to serve that subpoena in any way for the defects I've already noted.
May I state for the record?
And I'm
Your
also,
Honor,
hold on, I'm also not going to issue a written decision on that. The record speaks for itself.
may I state for the record, Your
No.
Honor, that I have not even seen a complaint in this matter.
Because it's
and
not
the
a
jurisdiction
complaint,
still
it's
has
an
yet to be proven,
information.
which is another thing that needs to be challenged. There
You were
has not
charged
been
by
proven that there's
information,
subject matter
not by
jurisdiction
complaint.
as of yet.
The
There's
court
no
has found
verified
it
proof
has
of it. There's
jurisdiction.
no verified proof of even a claim, especially if I'm not
It's the
allowed to
information.
face my accuser. And I don't understand
You don't
how you
understand
can make that
anything,
judicial
so
decision, Your Honor, when it's clear discrepancies in the paperwork of this matter. Like I said, I have yet to see jurisdiction be proven. It has not been proven. I have yet to see a complaint.
it doesn't
I
have to
not
be
seen
proven.
The court has provided you with, I believe it was the second amended criminal complaint, along with the information that was provided to you previously and noted on the record. I've already addressed your motion to dismiss previously. I'm not going to revisit that. There's no legal basis requiring me to do that,
If I kept
sir.
bringing this up, I'd be sanctioned.
The plaintiff in this matter has presented witnesses to establish venue. And again, as I've noted previously, it's a criminal case with criminal charges, with a second amended criminal complaint detailing the factual basis upon which these charges are based. We're a notice pleading state. And along with the information, you've been made aware of all of the charges and the penalties you face and the factual basis upon which the state has brought these charges. We are in the middle of trial. Your objections are noted. We will continue today with the jury trial.
For the record, may I respectfully move for
No.
interlocutory declaratory appeal on this matter,
No.
Your Honor?
Your request is noted for the record.
I mean, you can appeal all you want. She's
I'm
not going to
an appellate
stay
court,
it.
sir.
For the record, may I move to stay these proceedings until this instant matter is adjudicated by a court of competent jurisdiction?
This is a
Your
court
request
of
is denied.
competent
Based
jurisdiction.
on what law or fact, Your Honor?
That
You
it's
previously
frivolous.
addressed the issue, sir,
So
based
you're
on
making-
law of the case.
Are you making a judicial determination that I'm not awarded my Sixth Amendment right to face my accuser?
I'm not making any such determination here today. All right.
What law or
I'm
fact?
going to turn to the district attorney's office. Do you have a witness available?
Good
Yes, we're
morning,
ready to
Empty
proceed,
Woods.
Your Honor.
All right, our jurors here. All right, the jurors will be brought out, sir.
And he's going to start arguing again as
With
soon
all
as
due
the
respect
jury's
for the
on its
record,
way.
You're avoiding my questions.
She doesn't owe you any
Mr. Brooks, I've
answers.
addressed the issues that need to be addressed this morning. I've also addressed the same issues probably every day we've been in court. I know you may be dissatisfied with the response that I'm providing to you, but my responses stand.
It's not a dissatisfaction, Your Honor. It's a lack of understanding, which I don't have.
She
I
can't-
don't even understand.
can't make you
the true nature and
understand.
cause of the charges. And
A
Without-
lawyer
You've
would
been
be
made
the one
aware
to
of them
explain it to
multiple
you.
times.
I do not
I
understand them, is what I'm saying.
Encourage you
Your Honor.
once again, if you don't understand anything, to seek the advice of an attorney. I cannot give you legal advice.
I'm not asking for that, Your Honor.
Well,
I'm merely asking
She
why
can't
are my
explain it to you.
constitutional rights being
a
prejudiced?
lawyer could explain it to you.
It
She's
states
not
under the Sixth
allowed.
Amendment that I have the
Sir, I've
right.
already addressed this. Okay. We're not going to have any further
Hello,
argument
Steve.
on this topic.
Sorry, I'm late.
Your Sixth Amendment rights
Technology
are being
problems.
honored no differently than any other defendant that has appeared in my court.
Have any other defendant not been awarded the opportunity to face their accuser?
You are facing your accuser, sir. Every single witness who's been on this stand, you have cross-examined.
None of those witnesses are making a claim. None of those witnesses are the plaintiff. None of those witnesses are identified as the injured party. An injured party has to make the claim, Your Honor. A
Sir,
living,
in my
They
opinion, that
are
your belief
the
as
injured
it relates to
parties.
that is mistaken. It's not a lawful argument, and it's frivolous. I've directed your attention once again
No
to
injured parties have
uh,
taken the stand.
the Beneby decision.
is that not a federal case, a United States?
You're asking me for legal advice. I'm not going to.
Is that not
I'm
a
just
federal
asking
case? That-
What kind of case it was? Was it federal Supreme
It's a
Court
Seventh
case? or-
Circuit Court of Appeals case. We're in the Seventh Circuit, sir.
But you just stated that you're not a court of appeals. But you're citing a court of
No, but
appeals
Court of
case.
Appeals case law applies to this court,
the-
sir. I'm bound
Court
by
of-
legal precedent
only courts of
from the various
appeals
courts
are
that are above
allowed
me.
to use case law
And
from a court of
You're still
appeals.
not explaining how I'm not able to face my accuser, which is my Sixth Amendment
It
constitutional
does
right.
not
I'm
have
not
to
going to
explain
explain the law
anything
to
to
you.
you.
I've made my decision. It stands.
And the jury's on its way, so
I'm not
shut up.
arguing
Stop
that part of it,
arguing.
Your Honor. I'm just merely
Do I have the
stating
jurors
for the
coming out?
record.
Yeah, I heard the door.
Okay, thank you.
I'm merely stating for the record that I should be awarded my Sixth Amendment right to face my
Your
accuser.
objection is noted, sir, once again.
You
We'll
have
continue
had
this
the
morning. Thank you.
opportunity
None
to
of-
face your
None
accuser.
of the witnesses
You have cross-examined
that
every
testify
witness.
are the accuser. None of the witnesses that testify are the injured party, which
They
the claim has to
are.
be made by a living, breathing human being.
Sir, I
Which
think you're
have not.
confusing civil law with criminal law. That's what
No,
I'll
I'm
say on that.
confusing. I'm not confusing any law. The
You're
Constitution
confusing
says
everything.
that I have the right to face my accuser. And under
And
the
this
Sixth
is how
Amendment,
you face
I'm
your
not being
accuser.
awarded that constitutional right. I think that definitely needs to be on record, and that definitely is the issue that needs
Your
to be
objection's
raised.
noted, sir. If you believe I've erred in that regard, you can raise that issue on appeal if you are convicted.
But for now,
May I
shut
put
up.
Your Honor on notice that I intend
Who
to
cares?
appeal that decision?
Who cares?
Your statement.
You just file an appeal. You don't have to put her on notice.
Is that a judicial determination I will not be able to face my accuser, Your Honor?
I have not made any such determination, sir.
Will you be making a judicial determination?
Sir, I have not made any kind of determination that your Sixth Amendment rights have been violated. On the contrary, I believe this court has honored those rights.
Even with me not being able to face my accuser.
And
which
for
is
the record,
state of
Your
Wisconsin.
position
The
is
Sixth
noted,
Amendment
sir.
does not say you have the
Is
right
that
to
Noted for
face
the
your
record, I've already
accuser.
addressed it.
Is that a judicial
It
determination?
says you have the
Sir,
right to
the
be
record speaks for
confronted
itself.
with the witnesses
Is that a
against
judicial
you.
determination?
All right, I believe the jurors are coming out. All rise, please.
He has had the
Are you
opportunity
going to answer that,
to
Your Honor?
confront
Or
the
is that a tacit
witnesses.
agreement?
I'm not going to answer
Against
that, sir.
him.
I've answered it multiple times.
Is it a tacit agreement?
Nowhere in
It is not.
the Sixth Amendment does it
Then I should
say
be
the
awarded
right
awarded
to
my
face
Sixth
your
Amendment right
accuser.
to face my accuser. Or a judicial determination should be made.
Record to reflect that the jurors are coming in for
This-
the morning. Good morning, ladies
Not
and
only is
gentlemen.
this
The
not,
should
not
also
supported by
reflect
case
that
law,
I
this isn't
received no
supported by a
answer to that
plain
question.
reading of the Sixth Amendment. This is ridiculous.
And good morning to the remaining jurors who are filing in.
At some point, the judge should have probably just pulled
Of
up the
course, we
Sixth
stand for you,
Amendment,
so when you come
read
in,
it
you
word
can have
for
a seat.
word and
And
said,
thank you, everyone. Please be seated.
Where's
State may call
the
its
right
next
to
witness.
face the state of Wisconsin?
Thank you. The state will call
You're
Stephanie
facing the
Bonesteel.
witnesses against you.
Good morning, Ms. Bonesteel. If you would please make your way to the witness stand, which is to my right. It is up a riser. When you get there, please remain standing. Raise your right hand. My clerk, Teresa, who's on my left, will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Thank you. Please have a seat. First thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names for the record and spell each.
My name is Stephanie Bonesteel, Stefanie Bonesteel.
Thank you so much. Go ahead, your witness.
Thank you. Good morning, Ms. Bonesteel.
I don't know where she fits in yet.
Could you please tell me your occupation?
I am the head of the marketing area of Citizens Bank.
And directing your attention to November of 2021, were you tasked with assembling some coworkers to march in the Waukesha Christmas parade that year?
Yes, I was. That is a common thing that is
Okay.
participate in parades.
Okay. And did you have a coworker by the name of Jane Kulik?
Yes, I did.
What was Jane's role at the bank, please?
Jane was a teller at our Waukesha branch.
Okay. And did Jane agree to participate in the parade on November 21 of 21?
She did.
Were you there?
Yes, I was.
Did Citizens Bank have a float in the parade?
Yes, we did.
Could you describe that, please?
Yes, we had a float that was pulled behind a vehicle. It was decorated for the season, and we do not have anybody riding on our floats. Typically, we have people who walk alongside
She was
the
asked
float
about Jane
and hand
Kulik.
out.
She was one of
candy.
the fatalities.
About how many people were participating with your group that afternoon?
That afternoon, we have 15 in our group, 8 employees plus 7 friends or family members.
Okay. Did you actually walk in the parade, ma'am?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And did Jane actually walk in the parade?
Yes, she did.
I'd like to display for the witness only exhibit number 47, please.
Go ahead.
In a minute, it'll show up on your screen.
Does he have a new word
Just
of the
tell me when you
day
see it.
today?
I see it.
Okay. Do you recognize the people and the
Other than
events that are
Sixth
depicted in
Amendment?
exhibit number 47?
Yes, I do.
Do you see Jane Kulik in this picture?
Yes, I do.
Does this, are you in this picture?
I don't see them.
Okay. Did you walk in the parade with any family members?
Yes, my daughter and my son were there walking alongside with us, and my husband was driving the vehicle.
This witness
And
looks
the
to me
actual photograph that I
kind of
put up
like
for you,
either
you don't see yourself
Hillary
in that photo.
Swank or is it Jillian Michaels? That was the Biggest Loser judge, host, whatever. She looks
I don't think I see myself in this photo.
familiar to
Do you
me.
see Jane Kulik in the photo?
Yes, I do.
Are you able to identify Jane in the photo?
Yes,
Do you believe this photo was a true and accurate representation of the way Jane looked that day as she walked in the parade?
yes.
What do you remember about her clothing?
She had on a hat. I guess I would describe it as
And did he
a
read
Santa
on
hat that
hearsay
looked
at
like
all?
it maybe had
or
a
just
Mickey Mouse ball on top.
His accuser.
And she had leggings on that were
Probably spent
patterned.
all night figuring out how to subpoena the state of Wisconsin.
Several of us were wearing red ponchos that we provide to anyone who's participating in a parade. If they wish to wear them, we don't make them, but it's just another layer of warmth, and it then is obvious that we're part of the bank group with those red ponchos on. She is wearing a red poncho.
All right, permission to publish, or move to admit and permission to publish number 47, please.
Exhibit
Grounds.
47 is received, permission to publish is granted.
I mean, that was quite the mumbled
Objection.
objection.
So, Ms.
He
Bone, still the screen in front of you is a touch screen. Could you just circle or mark?
she hasn't ruled
with an
on his
X where
objections,
Jane
but
is in this picture?
he is mumbling them and not stating grounds because, rules for thee, but not for me.
And it looks like maybe she's in the act of throwing some candy or something like that. Is that right?
Yes, that's what I believe.
It very well
She must
could be
have,
static.
those blue bags had.
Although I don't know how that works with witness testimony.
Now, did there come a point you could take that down, please. Did there come a point in time when you were marching in the parade when something awful happened?
Overruled, she may answer.
For the record, she did shake her head in the affirmative.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay,
Hi, Grip.
I'd like for you to kind of walk us through it as you remember it. Okay?
I don't know
Start out by telling us
that oral
you
arguments
and your kids
in the
where were
Wisconsin
you
Court of
as
Appeals would be
relationship to the float that your husband was driving.
available to watch. But I'm sure
my
we
kids
could
and
see
I were on the
the briefs that are
driver's
filed.
side of the vehicle, but behind the vehicle a ways. I would say I was probably
His appeal will never be taken up by the U.S.
10 to
Supreme
15
Court.
yards behind the
They
back corner of the float.
So there's the
they're
truck,
able to
and then there's
select the
trailer
cases
with
they
the float
take, and
on it, right?
this would never be one
Yes,
of
the
them.
truck we have a
Unless there's
Suburban
something-
was pulling the
Some
float.
So you
it
were-
just it won't.
the truck, the float, and then you're still 10 or
But
15
audio
feet
of the
10 or 15
Supreme
yards.
Court
back.
arguments
Thank you.
is
Yeah.
made
Okay.
public.
And
I think Supreme
what's the
Court.
approximate age of your kids?
At the time, my daughter was 13 and my son was 10.
Okay. So they're near you?
They were near me. I knew they were on the same side of the street as I was. I knew they were ahead of me, so closer to where the vehicle was.
Okay.
But I didn't know exactly where they were. They were also walking along and throwing out candy.
Okay. What do you remember next?
I spent a good time as the leader of the group. I'm always keeping my eye on everybody who's participating to make sure everybody's doing well. I also was, during this parade, looking back at the unit behind us. Coincidentally, my daughter's two friends were part of the Waukesha extreme dance team.
Oh my.
So they were performing
Okay.
in the unit behind us, and I, when I could, would look behind and glance at the girls dancing.
Okay.
At one point,
And unsurprisingly,
I
this is hard for her.
glanced behind me
I don't blame
towards
her.
where the dance team was. I turned my attention that way because there seemed to be some sort of commotion. I can't explain what it was. Parades, if you've ever been in a parade, are very loud. There's music. There's a lot of crowd noise. But something
Are there horns honking though?
made me look and think, what was that?
Okay. Something unique, something.
So she might have
that wasn't
seen it
right.
coming, whereas most people
Right.
it came from behind. So
Overruled, her answer may stand. Keep that in mind going forward.
Go ahead.
I turned my attention back forward towards our group. And I again turned back towards the dance team because, again, something maybe I had heard, something maybe that, again, seemed out of place. And that's when I realized I saw headlights.
Now, were these headlights part of the extreme dance team or something else?
I realized within a second or two that no. I could see the truck. I believe it was a larger black truck that was part of the dance team's unit.
Okay.
I saw that, and to the right of that, so it would be the, again, driver's side of the truck is where I saw this other set of
meaning to the
headlights.
right from her
Did the headlights
perspective,
get closer to you?
looking
Yes.
back.
I quickly realized that the headlights were coming basically straight at me.
Were you able to get a description of this vehicle with the headlights driving in your direction?
As it passed, I realized it was an SUV.
Do you remember the color?
I do not.
Okay. You remember it was an SUV.
Yes.
Where were you when it passed by?
I was on the street. I was near the curb, but not up on the sidewalk.
Okay. Would that be the south side of the street or the left-hand side of the street as you're marching westbound? No, I'm sorry, south side of the street.
Yes, it would have been the south side of the street.
Okay.
And again, it appeared the headlights were coming straight at me and then turned a little to the right, so more towards the center of the street,
Okay,
shortly before it passed me.
It
I would
is
say
smart, I think, of
the vehicle
Brooks to
passed
wear
me
a face
within
mask in court
3 to 5 feet.
because the less the
Okay.
jury sees of his facial
were you able to see
expression,
the
the
driver of the
better.
vehicle?
Because just
No, I
from his
wasn't.
eyes alone,
What did you do when this vehicle went past you?
it, I just see so much.
Honestly, my biggest concern is where my kids were. I didn't know exactly what their positions were. More than I was concerned about getting out of the way, I was concerned that they were not in the path of this car.
And I don't know
Did you see the car
if her
continue
kids were hit.
past the float for Citizens Bank?
Yes, after it passed me and I was searching, I did notice that there was a clear area on the street ahead of me, about to where the vehicle was. Not so much the float, but the vehicle. So there was
The one your husband's driving.
the one my husband was driving.
Okay.
Again, the street was fairly clear.
I think
So
it
I was
depends,
searching
Static, if they're
the
true believers
searching
or
with my eyes and running
soft
up
sets of convenience.
towards the crowd on the side, again looking to see if I could spot my
It's
kids.
all about what their motivation is.
And that's when I noticed that there was a person
Because I don't
in
think
the
true
street,
believers will ever realize that
about
they're
where
wrong.
our vehicle was, about it's hard to tell exactly where, but I would say next to some
And the
part
fake
of the
gurus
vehicle.
will keep at it until they find another more
Right.
lucrative grift.
And this person was running forward. I assume trying to get out of the way.
Could you see who the person was?
At that point, I couldn't tell exactly who it was. I knew it was someone from our group because I could see the red poncho and I could see the hat. I should mention that Jane was not the only one wearing a hat. There were 2 other people that were wearing the similar hats.
Okay. Did you see the SUV strike the person running in the red poncho?
I did.
Tell us what you remember, please.
I remember seeing the vehicle basically moving at a pretty high rate of speed towards the person that was running. I do remember seeing taillights, but not brake lights. And I, again, am watching this from the back. I think before I even remember seeing anything, I heard a very loud impact. A very, very loud thud.
And then what?
At that point, I also remember hearing a very audible gasp. I don't know if that was from the crowd, the people watching, or if it was from the person that was struck. I then saw from the back, I guess it maybe wasn't enough of an angle. I could see that there was a person on the vehicle, and I did see the red poncho above the roof of the vehicle at one point for a second.
Did the SUV then pass around your husband's truck on the driver's side?
Yes,
Grounds?
Overruled. Her answer may stand.
Where did you see it go?
I saw it continue forward
Although this is what I've said,
around
it'd be better off
the
just
front
saying
of the
objection.
vehicle. And
Let the judge interpret what he's
from there, I
objecting
lost
to.
sight of the vehicle. And at that point, I just started going through the crowd and to find my kids.
Were you able to locate your kids?
Yes,
Were they physically injured in any way?
no, they were not physically injured.
How about you? Were you physically injured in any way?
No, I was not physically injured.
Emphasis on physically injured.
After you found your kids, you remember where you went or what you did?
It's unfortunate they can't
I found
charge him for
My
every
son first, and then I found my daughter.
mental
within
injury.
a few seconds of one another. I grabbed onto them. And a few seconds after that, my husband came running from where he was and grabbed onto us. At some point, I don't know who, I don't know if it was people from our group. I don't know if it was the crowd, but people grabbed us and moved us up onto the sidewalk.
All right, thank you, ma'am. I don't have any other questions at this point.
Thank you.
You're not done yet. You've got to establish that
questions for
Jane
this
Kulik
witness?
was killed.
Yes, I do. For the record, I don't consent to that name.
You're not done. You need to prove, unless you've got another
You stated
witness
that you
coming
were,
to say that
part
she was
of the
killed.
parade as
You're not
the,
done yet.
Citizens Bank. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Was that your first time participating in the parade, or have you done it before that?
This could be
that
a
evening?
huge screw up.
We have participated in probably 20 parades over the last 5 years. I have been in that particular parade at least once before.
You said that you saw headlights from the vehicle that was approaching. Would that be fair to say?
It would be fair to say because
Yes.
she said she saw it.
Do you recall if it was still daylight at that time?
I would say it was dusk.
And what would you consider to be dusk? Still light, or
It was more dark than light.
do you recall about what time of evening that was?
Based on when the parade started, I would estimate it to be about 4:30.
Okay, that's good. Because
So from your recollection, it was more
just judging
dark
from how they've
at
gone,
4:30
they're
p.m. than
having
light.
one or two
Yes.
witnesses for each sort of parade group. And that they've got to have someone say Jane died of her injuries from being struck.
And you also testified that the vehicle came 3 to 5 feet from you. Is that fair to say?
Yes, it is.
Would you say that's pretty close?
Yes, I would.
And you also said you weren't able to identify the color of the vehicle.
She can't
Would that be fair
remember,
to say?
she said.
Yes.
So my question would be, with the vehicle being that close, how were you not able to identify the
She
color
said
of the
she
vehicle?
can't remember. It's a year ago.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Listen. She said argumentative. You don't need to shout grounds.
Were you able to see a license plate from the vehicle?
I'm sure I would be able to see, but in a state of fear and panic, I wasn't able to register what it was.
So would it be fair to say that because of
He
that
looks
same reason is why
creepier
you
without it. When
wouldn't
he's
be able
removed
to
it,
identify the color of the vehicle?
it's better with him on, with the
Correct.
mask on.
You also said you saw tail lights. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, I did.
But
Were
not
the tail
brake
lights
light.
bright?
What's bright?
They were illuminated like normal taillights.
Would that for any reason be able to impede you from being able to see the license plates?
Objection, argumentative.
Grounds?
Sustained.
He really must have just had a jailhouse lawyer say, shout grounds after every objection.
Do you recall where you, or let me back up. Did you go inside of any buildings after the incident?
Yes, we were asked to go inside of the Nice Ash cigar bar.
About how close was the Nice Ash cigar
It
bar
could
to
be static,
where
but
you were
in that
participating
case,
in the parade?
he'd do it after she rules.
It was pretty much right
I mean,
there.
he does sometimes, but
Would that have been on the side of the street that you were on or the opposite side?
I think he
That
I
on
think
the
he was
same
just
street
told
side,
say
same
grounds
side of
after
the
every
street that I
objection
was on.
and doesn't
Do
understand
you recall if you were close
what
to any intersections
grounds
at that time?
are, or when his jailhouse lawyer
I
told him to
was
say
more in
it.
the middle of the block than closer to an intersection.
Do you remember any cross streets? Because you said you were in the middle of the block. Do you remember the cross streets or the next cross street that would have been ahead of you?
I would not be able to name the street by name. I am not that familiar with downtown Waukesha.
Do you recall any side streets at all during the parade route?
And
I do remember
he did
crossing
argue
several
with
of
the
them.
judge sometimes
Do you
yesterday,
recall if they were barricaded in any way?
wanting her to state her grounds for upholding sustaining
Most
the
of the
objection.
streets had a large number of people standing in
And
them.
also, he was asking for
Whether
grounds
there
for
were
why
barricades
she
behind the people, I am not sure.
didn't
Did you observe
sustain
any
his
law
objections.
enforcement standing at those cross streets?
Yes, I recall seeing law enforcement at least some of the cross streets.
And lots of them, Grip, do look straight at the jury. I think in the
And
first
you
day,
testified that you did not see
Brooks
the driver.
actually
Would that
got
be
mad
fair to
at
say?
one of the witnesses
Yes.
for doing so. He's like, "Stop looking at the jury. I'm the one asking you questions."
Do you recall giving any police report or being interviewed by any law
Of course,
enforcement?
if you think back to the Johnny Depp trial,
Yes,
sometimes it
Do
can
you
be
recall
creepy.
if that was the same day of the incident or in
I
the
think it
days
was
following?
the now infamous doctor
I gave my statement to a police
looking at the
detective
jury, and it came
on
across as real
Friday of
creepy.
that same week, the day after Thanksgiving.
But you
So
do
that
have
would
to be
be
mindful
around
of who the testimony
26th
for.
of 2021, November the 26th of 2021. Would that be fair to say?
It wouldn't be fair to say.
I believe, yes, it would be November 26th.
Do you recall why it would take almost a week to be interviewed
Because
or
they
to
had
make a report?
hundreds,
Objection,
if not
Grounds.
thousands.
Scope of the witness's
Grounds.
knowledge.
Grounds.
Also calls for speculation on the part of the witness. It's sustained.
I mean, how would she know police procedure?
Do you remember who the law enforcement officer was that you gave your statement to?
he was a detective with the Waukesha, City of Waukesha Police Department. I do not recall his name at this time.
You stated that you don't recall seeing the path of the traveling vehicle after it had passed you. Would that be fair to say?
I did not see the vehicle once it had traveled beyond my husband's vehicle.
Did you see it strike anyone at that point?
I saw it strike a person when it was parallel next to my husband's vehicle.
Did you see it strike anyone after that point?
After that, she couldn't see it once it
No, I
passed
could
the
not see the
vehicle.
vehicle past that point.
How would she see it strike anyone after she can't see it
Did you see
anymore?
the vehicle strike anyone before it got to the location that you were at?
No, I did not.
But she saw it kill one person.
Do you recall reading or seeing a complaint in this matter in any way?
Objection.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Why would a witness read the charging instruments?
To the best of your knowledge, have you filed any claims in this matter?
No, I have not.
Would you consider yourself to be a party to this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Relevant.
Sustained.
Besides which, it's a legal conclusion who the parties are.
Were you aware that it might be a possibility that you would be called to testify in this matter?
Yeah, because she was called to testify.
Yes, I
At
did.
what point are you talking about? That's such a stupid
Were you in
question.
fact subpoenaed by
She's
anyone to
there
testify
to
in this matter?
testify.
Yes, I was.
Do you recall by whom?
By the state of Wisconsin.
And when you say the state of Wisconsin, who do you refer to?
Objection. Argument.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Have you had any interactions with the state of Wisconsin?
Objection.
Grounds.
It's vague. Sustained. You may rephrase if you so choose.
Did you have any phone conversations or any physical conversations with the state of Wisconsin?
Objection.
Grounds.
Sustained. You can rephrase it.
He really does need a shock collar. Or a shock vest or shock underwear or something.
Do you even know the state of Wisconsin?
Objection.
Grounds.
Argumentative.
Grounds.
Sustained.
It would be fair to say, based on your testimony, that you were in fact called to testify by the state of Wisconsin.
Shut him down, Judge.
Objection. Asked and answered.
Grounds. I didn't even finish the question.
Shut him down.
Now the grounds on that.
Asked and
Finish your question
answered.
and then I'll rule.
Seeing as how that you were called to testify by the state of Wisconsin, it would be fair to say that
Nope.
you've actually saw the state of Wisconsin.
Shut him down.
Objection.
Grounds.
Shut him down.
Vague.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Come on, Judge.
To the best of your knowledge, would the state of Wisconsin be the plaintiff in this matter?
Shut him down.
Objection.
Grounds.
Irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Now the grounds for the sustain.
Sustained.
Your Honor, with all due respect, the jury needs to know this.
The
They deserve to
jury-
know this.
Next question.
You don't argue in front of the jury. Shut up.
Are you aware that, to the best of your knowledge, are you aware that for a case, there has to be an injured party?
That's a legal conclusion.
Grounds.
Shut up.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Shut him down, Judge. And there are injured parties. There
As
are
you said,
dead
the state of
parties.
Wisconsin called you to testify. Did they at any time identify themselves as an injured party in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Argumentative.
People you
Irrelevant.
killed
Grounds.
and ran over
Sustained.
are injured parties.
Reason for the sustain, Your Honor?
Continue, Mr. Brooks.
Any reason for the sustain?
It's sustained.
Substain.
May I have the grounds, Your Honor?
Keep going,
Substain.
Mr. Brooks.
This is information that the jury deserves to know, Your Honor.
The
The
jury
jury is
does
the
not
judge
need to
Of the
know
facts only, and the
the
court is the
internal
judge of the
workings
law.
of the
Keep going,
judge's
Mr. Brooks.
decisions.
No further questions.
Redirect.
About
All
time.
right, thank you, ma'am. You may step down.
I assume that's what you were referring to, Static. But I mean, can I know the reason for the substain?
You may call
Well,
your next witness.
it was because it was irrelevant, like the prosecution argued. Imagine that.
Good morning, Mr. Bonesteel. If you would please make your way to the witness stand, which is to my right. It is up a riser. When you get there, please remain standing. Raise your right hand. and my
Mr.
clerk,
Bonesteel,
Teresa,
so this
who's
is her
on my left,
husband, isn't
across
it?
from you, will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Please have a seat. The first thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names for the record and then spell each.
First name is Adam. Last name is Bonesteel. ADAMBONESTEEL.
Thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
Thank you. Mr. Bonesteel, thank you for being here this morning, sir. I want to ask you about the events of November 21 of 2021, okay?
Yes.
Were you participating in the Waukesha Christmas parade that afternoon, sir?
Yes.
And what was your role in the parade?
I was driving the float for Citizens Bank.
And,
So it is
your
her
wife
husband.
Stephanie works for the bank? is
He's
that right?
one button
Yes,
away
I was
from Law Talk
Volunteering
Mike
with her
level
and the rest of the family.
shirt
Right.
openness.
And you said you were driving the float, is that right?
That is correct.
Were you driving a vehicle pulling a trailer with the float on it, or?
I was driving a Suburban pulling the trailer.
Okay.
Were you
So
driving
have,
1
a
mile an
full-size
hour?
Chevy Suburban,
Yes.
just like a large SUV,
2019.
full-size SUV?
Yes.
Okay.
Overruled. His answer may stand.
And the float was on the trailer behind you?
Correct.
Okay. Did you know about how long the trailer was? or the
So a full-size
approximate size?
Suburban
12,
would pretty quickly
12 by,
block the
I would
view
say
of
8
his
feet by 12 feet.
wife from seeing.
Now, when the parade started
Ford
out,
Escape.
were you alone in the car?
No,
Who was with you?
I had a 6-year-old daughter of one of the employees with me. She was in the passenger seat.
Okay. And other than that, you were alone in your car with her?
Her and I were in the vehicle, just us two.
Okay. Were you playing any loud music as part of your group's presentation?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Do you remember if you had the windows on your vehicle up or down?
The window on my side, driver's side window was down. On her side, it was slightly down.
Okay. And do you remember during the parade, something unusual that your attention was drawn toward?
That's a way to put it.
Overruled. You may answer, sir.
Along the route,
Yes.
Once again, he's not not
yes.
stating his grounds.
it would be important to note that the groups got spread out. And it
Okay.
happens in parades where one's going faster and the others are going slower, and we got left kind of in the middle. We had a lot more people, walking. And so there was a gap. The dance crew behind us was a good half a block behind us. The dancing grannies in front of us were about another half a block in front of us.
So he
Okay.
probably had the best view of the carnage.
Driving in
with
the parade, I
dancing
generally,
grannies.
want to know where my walkers are. So I'm always in my mirrors, watching my speed. They come up, they grab candy off the trailer to throw to the crowd. So, you have to be very alert.
Okay.
Oh,
Have
yeah.
you driven in parades before?
Yes.
Because you're a good husband.
Yes.
Okay.
Objection.
And
Overruled.
the,
Go ahead.
thank you, Your Honor.
Oh yeah, roll your
Would you say
eyes
that
and
would-
shake your head.
Consistent with your
That
practice,
looks
did you do
good.
that in this float? You're constantly aware
Once again,
of what.
if I were
Yes.
doing that, the judge
and
would
people
admonish
walking
me.
with your group,
Yes,
people ahead of you and the people behind you as well.
correct.
Okay. Do you know downtown Waukesha pretty good or okay or
No,
not very good at all?
no.
Okay. Do you know the parade route?
I did know the route, but I
Main
couldn't
Street.
tell you cross streets. I can't tell you, those specifics.
Sure.
Um,
Do you know where you were along the route when the trouble happened?
Well, I know the landmark would be the nice ash bar that was basically we were in front of where we were in that block when things transpired, just because they took us in when businesses were locking down. My vehicle got basically blocked in by emergency vehicles.
Okay,
I was not able to leave.
Makes sense.
sure.
And, when everything was going on, they basically took our group in. I started packing up, like I could leave, getting
Okay,
the float packed up and just wanting to get my family home.
yeah,
And it got to the point where police officers came by as they were taping off the area and said, you can't be here.
okay,
So my vehicle ended up staying there overnight.
okay.
That's
So let's
inconvenient.
go back to the point where you noticed something was going on in the parade.
So we had started, the parade route had gotten, with our groups kind of separated. I noticed when I had looked out my driver's side mirror that I saw headlights behind me. And I remember thinking briefly, what's the dance guy doing behind me? Why is he so far off to the left?
Okay,
Basically, when that thought was over, I heard the roar of an engine, and I was watching in my side mirror and saw a woman running kind of towards the corner of my vehicle, the back corner, in between, like, let's say by the tongue of the trailer, and we're trying to get to that point of my vehicle,
okay,
and then saw the impact and heard it, as well as the roar of an engine.
okay. Let's just break that down a little bit, okay? So first you notice the headlights, then you hear the engine and you see a person running. Did you know who it was at that
No.
instant?
No,
Okay.
I had no idea who the person was.
Could you tell it was a member of your group?
Yes,
How could you tell
they
that?
had the red cloaks on.
Okay. So then you said you heard.
Hang on, his
something?
wife said
Oh,
ponchos.
yeah, you heard- I
Now
heard-
he
I
says
heard-
float.
And saw the impact.
Tell us about
You
that,
ever-
please.
Heard a car hit another car or an abutment or a deer. If anybody's ever hit a deer with their car, you've heard it. I watched the body fly up onto the hood and her head snapped back and the body remained on the hood as it passed the side of my vehicle to where I thought I could have just reached out and grabbed her.
So
This
he was
happened
just that
close
close.
to you.
Yes,
You saw all this with your own two eyes.
yes,
Did the car continue past you?
yes.
Where did it go?
The car veered kind of in front of me. I saw brake lights and saw what
Wait,
what
did you
was
see brake
Jane
lights or tail lights?
fall off the hood.
So
I
he
proceeded to
did identify
And she was on
Jane.
basically on the right side of his
Not as
vehicle.
being
And
dead.
he proceeded to run her over with the right front tire, then the right rear tire. And at that point, I was just focused on the body on the ground, but I remember hearing the roar of the engine again. And
So accelerating after
How
hitting her.
fast were you going?
2 miles an hour,
How fast would you estimate the other vehicle was going?
30.
That's a good
Did you get a
estimate.
description of that other car?
It was red,
That's all you know?
like a box type back end.
Show an
That's
SUV.
all I know. That's all. Once I thought my wife was the woman on the car. So you see your whole life going by you, in what you think is an act of terror because you don't know what's going on. And then a body's laying on the ground. And
He's a good witness.
At that point, that was my only focus. My vehicle, I threw it in park and ran to decipher if this was really
He's a great witness. He's adding context. He's adding
details of which
emotion.
direction the vehicle went after that. I cannot tell you. I'm
He's
sorry.
he's
It
painting
was-
a picture.
It was tunnel vision right to the ground.
Of course. You do distinctly remember though, seeing the red vehicle that you've described roll over the person on the ground.
Yes,
With both tires.
yes.
Let's show you an item that's been marked as exhibit 46, please. And we're gonna put it up for you first and have you take a look at it. So is it up on your screen, sir?
Yep.
And right now, the video is not playing. It's frozen on the first frame. Do you see that?
I don't know that we've
Do you
seen this
recognize
video
what you're looking
or
at here, sir?
heard.
Yep.
What are you looking at?
It appears to be Jane on the ground.
Is that what she looked like when you ran up to her?
She was on her side, face down. Yeah.
I'm gonna ask
Those are the pants. Yeah.
okay. I'm gonna have my assistant play this video through for you. It's a total length of 15 seconds, okay?
Yes.
Want you to watch it and then I'll have some questions for you, okay? That was the full 15 seconds? Yeah. Okay. Mr. Bonesteel, did you see yourself in that video?
Yes, I did.
Do you believe this video is a true and accurate representation of the events as you ran up to Jane on the
Yes.
street? Move to admit 46 and permission to publish, Your Honor.
Objection.
Graham.
Exhibit 46 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
For the record, Your Honor.
It's noted.
All right. So, Mr. Bonesteel, in this frame, I don't see you in this frame yet, correct?
That's correct.
But we do see Jane laying there on the road,
That's
correct?
correct.
She's got the red top and the black plaid pants. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. We're going to go ahead and play it all the way through 15 seconds at normal speed.
And the video's not on our screen.
That's you right there in the khaki pants at the 6-second mark.
That is correct. Black sweatshirt.
That's you right there at the end. Sunglasses on your head. Okay.
Was that a yes?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Thank you, sir.
Do you know if medical assistance was provided to Jane?
I do not.
What happened?
Once I realized that it wasn't Steph, I ran back to find her and the kids. And I found them back by the vehicle.
Okay.
After I had found them, my next thought was oh my God, Addison's behind us. That's my daughter's good friend. And another friend was also there. And I ran back to find her.
With the extreme dance group?
Yes,
Did you find those girls?
I found Addison. Sam had been struck.
What's Sam's last name?
Coelho.
Okay.
I asked Addison if she wanted to come with us. Her mother was actually waiting at the end of the parade route, so she was en route to get her. But
Okay.
then I went back to my family and the rest of the group that we were in the parade with, and at that point the nice ash bar was taking them in,
Okay.
and then I was just focused on getting out of there.
Yeah.
Which didn't happen.
Did you learn later that Jane passed away due to her injuries from this collision?
We did learn that later. My gut feeling in that was that she had passed.
You mean when you went up and saw her?
Yes,
You felt she was either dead or close to death?
yes.
Thank you, sir. I don't have any other questions for you.
Okay, that charge is proven up.
All right, Mr. Brooks, do you have any questions for this witness?
I do. Whew.
Uh-oh. Is he gonna cry? He looked like he's gonna cry. Because it's so emotional for him. Oh. That poor guy. Poor Brooks.
I apologize. I just needed a quick
Yeah,
second.
oh, yeah. Play it up for the jury. You were rolling your eyes during his testimony, but, you feel so awful now. Someone give him a hanky. Whew.
At some point in your testimony, you stated that you heard, or rather you saw brake lights. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, I did.
And then he heard the roar of your engine
To the best of your
accelerating.
knowledge, what would be the only time you would see brake lights on a vehicle?
The point right before Jane fell off the hood.
I think you misunderstood my question.
Well, ask a clearer question then.
If you were driving the vehicle, would it be fair to say that the only time anyone would see brake lights would be if
Exactly,
you hit the
Darlene.
brake?
You'd know down there in Australia.
If the driver hit the brakes, the brake lights would go on the vehicle.
So it would be fair to say that the only way that you would see brake lights would be if the driver of the vehicle hit the brakes.
That would be correct.
But then he heard the roar of your engine. You accelerated.
You did state in your testimony that you did not get a look at the driver. Would that be fair
You
to
did
say?
not stop. You
That was never
continued
part of
on
my
through the
testimony.
dancing grannies.
Nobody had asked me that
And you
question.
killed
Are you asking me that
3 or
question if I had
4
seen
of
the driver?
them
I do recall you saying that you did not see the driver. So I
directly
guess
after
that's
you
my
passed him.
testimony?
You ran through
yes.
Oh,
the dancing grannies.
Hold on.
I
He's
don't
going to
know.
ask you a question, and I'm going to ask that you answer that, okay?
Okay.
So go ahead, ask your question.
Did you at any time see the driver of the vehicle?
No.
You would have been on the other side of
You
the
did
car from him.
Testified to when you were describing what you saw.
His
you referred
focus,
to the
his
driver
attention
as
was focused
he.
on Jane.
Any reason
as
why
you
you
ran
referred to the
over
driver
her.
as he if you did not see the driver of the vehicle?
That would be like the proverbial we.
Well, there's males, there's females.
There are
So
singles and there are togethers. I mean, when you say we, it's the proverbial we.
So
Collectively, he would be along those lines as well.
He said he couldn't
Is it
identify
fair
you.
to say that you could have just answered as we instead of he? Grounds.
It's
Sustained.
argumentative.
Next question, sir.
Out of grounds on that.
Argumentative.
It's argumentative. Rephrase your question.
Any reason why you would answer that question as he?
Objection, irrelevant, argumentative.
Grounds.
Asked and answered. Sustained.
Were you able to get a license plate of the vehicle?
License
No, I
plate.
was not. I was focused, like I had said, on the body on the ground.
His concern
So I did
was
not get the license
Jane,
plate. I'm
thinking it was his
After
wife
the vehicle had
initially.
passed the vehicle that you were in, did you see the vehicle strike anyone after that?
I did not see the vehicle strike anyone after the vehicle had passed me, other than driving over, like I had stated.
His
The body that
focus
it had
was
already
on
struck.
Jane.
Did you observe the vehicle strike anyone while it was approaching your position?
Clarify your question, please.
Did you observe the vehicle strike anyone while it was approaching your position?
Yes, I saw it hit Jane.
Because
While it
seeing
was approaching
him
you?
hit
It
Jane
was,
Or your
isn't
vehicle
enough.
yes,
It doesn't count unless this witness saw all of the deaths.
Did you observe the vehicle strike anyone else in that moment?
no.
He
just
said
Jane.
he only saw it hit Jane. Is that not enough? He saw you kill someone.
And you said you went into a building called the Nice Ash after that moment.
That was correct.
Do you recall about how long you were in the Nice Ash?
Hour and a half, maybe. I would pop in and out because I was trying to wrap up the float and get us out of there. And then once I was told that I cannot touch my vehicle nor the float anymore because the area was deemed a crime scene, we went back in and made a plan on how we were going to get all of us home, and then proceeded to leave. But businesses, I believe, were locked down, so no one could get in and out. They were locking their doors. Every time I went out, they would ask
Once
me,
again, you want yes
knock
or
on the
no
door, you know, 'cause
questions
we're
on
locked.
Do you
cross-examination.
recall about what time it was at that moment?
No. These are thoughts that you don't think about when you've been through something like this. I didn't sit there and note down times. I'm not trained in this.
Do you recall if it was still daytime or nighttime?
What's
the
daytime or
parade, the parade
nighttime?
started around 4:30, so it gets, and it was cloudy, so it was dusk. I mean, city lights were on. Emergencies vehicles, when they were pulling up, you saw the sirens, on the streets. You saw it was dusk. It was getting dark.
Would it be fair to say from the Exhibit 46 video that you were shown that it was pretty clear?
Again,
It was very
Wasn't
clear that
focusing
you
on
killed Jane, and he saw you
the
do it.
sky.
Do you agree or disagree? The video or that you saw. was
I
clear.
mean,
That was the question.
The video, the clarity of the video, or the skies? Please
That-
clarify.
that is-
it's such a vague question.
Pretty much still daytime. You can see everything pretty clear. Everything was
You can see, yes, it was clear.
He
It
could
was
see
dusk.
everything.
Lights were coming on.
He saw what you did.
the city lights, street lights were coming on.
I mean, once again, his questions do not help him.
Would it be fair to say you can recall lights coming on, but not the driver of the vehicle?
He said he can't identify you.
That's been answered, Your Honor.
Objection, grounds.
Asked and answered.
Overruled. He may answer.
I mean, it was a compound
I can remember
question.
lights coming
and the
on
second
because
half
they are
was asked
stationary.
and
The vehicle was
answered.
traveling past me at a rate of speed with a woman that I thought was my wife on the vehicle. Was not really paying attention to who was driving the vehicle. Again,
So would it be fair to say you were paying attention to the lights?
no.
He's paying attention to you hitting Jane.
So what would lead you to believe that they were in fact coming on at that time?
He says they were
The
on.
video that I,
Hold on. There's an objection.
He says
Alright.
the lights were
That's-
on.
The
He didn't
objection is
say he
sustained.
saw the street lights
Next
coming
questions.
on. He said they were on.
Do you recall the duration of time that you saw the brake lights?
no, I do not.
But you did in fact see brake lights.
Correct.
No further questions.
Jesus.
Yes, briefly. Sir, after you saw brake lights, did you see the SUV or the red vehicle that you described ever come to a complete stop?
No,
Objection.
Did you,
There's been an objection. It's overruled. His answer may stand.
did you at any time see the driver of the vehicle pull over, stop, and get out to investigate what he or she had just struck?
Objection.
Overruled.
no,
Did you ever see the vehicle come to a complete stop at any time?
Objection, asked and answered.
Sustained.
That's all.
Thank you, sir. You may step down.
Once again, she knew he wouldn't be able to answer it, but she asked it because it just emphasizes the point for the jury. I would have actually gone a step further.
Rashadi.
When you say you heard the roar of the engine, was that signifying acceleration after the brake lights?
The state of Palm Springs, the state of Palm Harris.
Matt Harris. All right, thank you.
Just emphasize the point. Not only did he not stop, he accelerated through
All
the
right,
dancing
Mr.
grannies.
Harris, thank you for making your way up to the. When you get there, please remain standing. Raise your right hand. My clerk, Teresa, will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Thank you, sir. Please have a seat. First thing I will have you do is to state your first and last names for the record and then spell each.
Matthew Harris, Matthew Harris.
Thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
He looks kind of like an older
Mr. Harris,
version
I'm
of
gonna
one of
draw
my
your
law school
attention to
classmates.
November 21st, 2021. Were you at the Waukesha Christmas parade on that date?
I was
And were you a spectator? Were you a participant?
spectator.
Who were you with?
There was a large group of friends and some family in that group.
So did you bring your family?
I brought my two daughters.
And was your wife there?
My wife was not there.
Okay. And how about just generally, approximately how many people were with your group?
I think our group had about 19 or 20 between kids and adults.
And where were you sitting or standing to view the parade?
We were right on the corner of Main Street in Clinton, right in front of the Steaming Cup.
I'm going to show you State's Exhibit number 51. It's going to display in the front of you on your screen. If you can just let me know when it's displayed in front of you.
Yes.
Does that accurately depict the corner that you were at to watch the Christmas parade?
It does.
I would ask. the
And which
clerk to
corner
read
were
the
you at?
silence And to publish
Or-
it to
or-
the jury.
Did I space over that?
Particular exhibit.
The relevancy.
Overruled. Exhibit, I'm sorry, can I have the number again? Is it 51?
51.
Exhibit 51 is receipt permission to publish is granted.
Sir, the screen in front of you is a touch screen. So can you kind of put in maybe a circle around the area that the 19 people that you were with kind of encompassed?
Okay, so this
Towards the
photo
top
is
corner.
Okay.
not from the
And were you
day of the
standing,
parade.
sitting?
Standing.
Was everyone standing?
Everyone was standing.
And there's a curb. Were you guys up on a curb and the bump out, or were any of the people that were watching with your group in the street?
Most of the children were sort of in the front area on the curb and out into the street, and most of the adults that sort of huddled behind.
Okay. I'm assuming that the purpose is candy's handed out, so the kids got it
Sure,
first. Okay.
correct.
For the big parade
And
we
where
have
were
here
you
in
if you
Salt Lake
look at
City,
that circle, were you,
they paint
as
a
we're looking
green
at the
line
diagram, towards the right of that circle,
down the road
which
at,
would be east, or were you to the
basically
left of the circle, which
to
would
keep
be
the crowd
west?
behind the line, because
I know I'm
some
drawing
of the
this
crowd's
out,
allowed into the
probably right
street.
here in the back, towards,
So I wonder if they had
And how about your
something like
kids?
that
um,
here.
right out here in the front.
Thank you. And were there other people as you were standing looking at the street? Which way is the parade coming? Is it coming from, as you're looking at the street, your left down to your right? If you draw
Correct.
an arrow.
Right. Yeah, sure.
Thanks. And what, approximately what time did you get there? Do you know?
Most of us had just come from a soccer game in Brookfield, so I think we got there probably right before it started, 3:45, 3:50.
And it started at 4.
So again, there were there a lot of people in to the right and to the left of you, spectators?
It was pretty packed.
Okay.
Correct. Yep.
Thank you. At some point, and we can take this exhibit down.
They got a decent spot for arriving.
At some
right
point, did you hear some
before.
type of commotion?
I did.
Do you know where in the parade route, like what floats had gone through or what floats were in front of you? Did you?
Yeah, I didn't recall at the time what float was about to come in front of us, but I do know that the dancing grannies had just passed us.
Okay.
And then that's when I heard the commotion, an audible gasp. There was a large vehicle kind of blocking our view of.
So that
what
would
was
be the
coming.
Suburban, probably
Kind of obscured anything. And then
driven
that's when I
by the
saw a
previous
red
witness.
SUV from the north side come around in front of that vehicle. It headed straight for that corner where our children were, so it was kind of coming dead on at us. And then at the last second, kind of clipped that corner and then veered off. And I saw it continue on into the Dancing Grannies group.
So as you were looking to your left, which would be, and I'm horrible at directions, it would be to the east. As you were looking there,
This
you said you
prosecutor's
heard
good.
a gas.
Yeah,
But
like audible gas.
I'd say she's my least
commotion,
favorite of the
just
3.
An eerie sound of not parade sounds, just
She's the
a loud,
mid-level
like,
of the 3.
draws your attention to something is going on, but we couldn't see because again there was a large vehicle right there.
And I'm assuming the large vehicle that you're describing was part of the parade.
Correct.
Approximately how far to your left, as you're looking at the parade, was the vehicle when you first saw it, the red SUV that you described?
Hold on, there's been an objection. I was mid-question, so if you could just re-ask it, I didn't
Sure.
know.
Approximately how far from your position was the red SUV when you first saw it?
It would have been.
Oh. Is there some-
There's been no objection to that, so he may answer.
Okay.
It would have been on, I believe that's the south side of the street, so maybe 30 feet.
So you first saw it approximately 30 feet to your left.
The traffic
and it would have
lane
been
being
on the
about,
opposite
what,
side of the road
10 to
than
12 feet wide,
from where you were seated.
Yeah, just
Depending
on
on
the other side of the
nature of a
the large
street.
vehicle, that Suburban that was there.
So on the driver's side or the passenger
Driver's
side of
side.
that? Thank you. So the vehicle comes on the driver's side of that car that was in the parade. What do you see next?
I saw it come along the side of it, and then once it cleared that vehicle, it made it a which would have been a right-hand turn right towards our corner. I remember having a split second of what is going on. And then I remember screaming, "Get back," because all of our children were right there. It came through, it veered off. And my immediate thought was he hit something in the front there and then continued off. I would say the parents, mostly the dads, kind of ran up there and kind of check on the children. And I recall at that moment, after a second pause, looking down the road to see where it was going. My immediate thought was to kind of run after it. And then I realized I had an injured child and a 3-year-old as well that was there.
Oh, God.
I distinctly remember seeing 2 victims laying in the street. And then I looked up the other way where I had come, and I saw a woman with plaid pajamas lying in the street up the road. And that's when I grabbed my daughter and grabbed her to pull her back.
So you said that you looked to your right and you saw 2
That was
other
a
people in the
sinister
roadway.
look
Were
in
they
his
from your
eyes.
group or were they from a different group?
This was after probably 3 to 4 seconds in duration. It was advanced up into the Dancing Grannies group that had just passed us.
Could you tell the path of travel as you said it was heading towards your corner and then it veered away? Do you recall, can you describe that?
Yeah, it veered away and then headed right back, continued down Main Street, seemingly right down the middle of the road.
Okay. And did you see it impact the grannies, or
I
did
did
you
not.
just see bodies after
I
the
just
car
saw
went through
the
them?
victims on the ground.
Sure, do me a favor. Try to wait until she's fully asked the question. I know it can be a little nerve wracking, just so that the record is clear.
You bet.
Thank you so much.
Sir, how old
It's
are
not
the
a
children,
conversation.
your children that were at the parade?
Overruled.
My children at the time was 7 and my youngest was 3.
And you indicated, if I can have exhibit 51 back up. Again, if you can put an X approximately where you were standing.
I believe I was standing sort of right back there a little bit on the sidewalk.
That's not an
And your
X, that's the
7-year-old?
line.
Was approximately where? And your
But that's an
3-year-old?
X.
She had just come back by me a few minutes prior, so she was back by me.
She was up on the curb.
Correct.
And the path of travel as the vehicle came towards you, can you put an arrow approximately where you think it was veering from and where it was going towards?
It's not speculative.
I believe it was coming.
It's
Yeah,
based
that's-
on his observations.
Yeah.
That's
Hopefully.
not speculative.
Thank you.
I don't
Were you
think he
able to
knows what
estimate how fast
speculative
the car was
means.
going?
Faster than normal speed limit on that road, I would say 25 to 30 miles per hour.
Pretty good guess.
Did you hear a horn honking prior to it coming up on your group?
I did not.
Did the vehicle stop? Strike that. Were any people that were with your group injured?
Yes.
Who was injured?
My daughter, my 7-year-old daughter, had her foot ran over, her left foot,
Ouch.
broke 4 toes, and
Oh.
also her tibia and fibula in her leg.
Oh,
And then there was
that poor
another
little girl.
friend of ours, younger daughter, who was next to her. I believe she got sideswiped from the vehicle with
Those
some face
those
damage.
poor
So,
kids.
What was that girl's last name?
Knapp,
Knapp.
correct.
And your 7-year-old, what is her name?
Brinley,
Brinley?
correct.
Did you said that there was something with her tibia and
Fibula, correct.
fibula. Were they broken
They were
or?
broken. Yes, sorry, they were
Okay,
broken.
sorry. What did
So
you
that's
do?
both bones in your shin.
Went at that moment.
Right after the car went past your
Yep.
daughter?
So we leaped up. My daughter was crying. Many of the children were crying. We were trying to triage through and just seeing who was injured, and because it came that close. And again, I had looked down, kind of just assessed the situation a little bit. I had grabbed my daughter, had set her back on the curb a little bit, grabbed my oldest daughter, sorry, with the injuries. I grabbed my 3-year-old and set them there as well. And then at some point, a few moments later, got them. The other parents were lining up the children on the side of Clinton Street, on the side of the steaming cup, over in this area. So we eventually moved the kids back there.
Did you take Ridley that evening for medical care?
I did not.
Okay. How did you know that she had broken toes?
So there's a couple of variables that came into play there. We did not know at the moment. I knew that she had a foot injury, and I did the typical dad thing, and I downplayed the initial injury. I carried her to the car. At the time of walking to the car, as a leader at Pro Healthcare where I work, I got an alert that the hospital was on lockdown. So my initial thought was to take her up to the hospital myself. Her acuity versus other victims laying in the road didn't warrant her waiting for an ambulance, that I could take her.
So once again,
At that time, when
putting
I got the
others
lockdown notice on my
ahead of
phone,
yourself.
I decided to call my wife, who is a nurse practitioner in urgent care at the time. And I said, you're going to want to check this out. She was almost done with her shift anyways. We live 15 minutes from the house, so we kind of convened there. She looked at it and decided to take her in at that moment.
So what foot was run over?
Her left foot.
When she, after the car drove over her foot, did she still have her shoe on?
She had, no, both shoes had come off somehow, but we lost one eventually, and then the other one, we found one.
Were you able to look at specifically the left shoe after the car went past?
I was.
Overruled. You may answer.
I did see the shoe later on. I think it was the next morning when we kind of had a chance to collect ourselves, and I recall seeing a tread mark across her shoes.
Which is highly
The
relevant.
tire mark?
It would be.
So the right shoe was unable to be located that night, correct?
Correct.
And the left shoe you did find, and that's what you took home with you?
Correct.
Do you have the shoe to submit as evidence?
Now, you said that at
Not
the
that it's
time, you didn't
necessary.
feel that your daughter should be taken by ambulance because of what you were seeing. Can you describe to the jury what you were seeing?
Just mass chaos. Nothing like I'm a combat veteran. I've been around mass hysteria most of my career, and I had never seen anything like this in such a safe environment where it was just hysteria, screams, sirens everywhere, just and unknowing, are there other vehicles coming down? Like,
He makes a good witness being able to bring his combat background in.
It was just an odd
as a comparison
feeling for a very long period there.
And you would indicate you had seen a woman with plaid
It
pants.
seemed like pajama pants. Correct.
Okay, to the left of you.
Correct.
And did you see her being treated?
I saw many individuals standing around her. I know that one of the parents in our group is a physician. I believe she went on to render aid somewhere. I don't know if it was her or not, but I remember seeing a large presence around that woman.
And then did you see any bodies to the right of your position?
Yes, that's where I saw two within
dancing
which would have been
grannies.
part of the dancing granny group. I don't know if they were the grannies or not at the time. I just knew that there were two people laying on the ground.
Which is where the most fatalities
So I'm going to show you
occurred.
what's been marked as States Exhibit 15. And I'm just going to have it viewed in front of you initially. Do you recognize generally this map?
I do.
And do you see the position that you and your family were on November 21st of last year?
I do.
And do you see your daughter's name in a box that's above the word steaming cup?
I do.
And it's connected to a star that's orange in color?
Correct.
Is that the approximate location of where you and your family were when your daughter was run over?
That
Her foot
is.
was run over? May I publish it to the jury? It's previously been admitted.
You may.
we've seen this exhibit multiple times.
Again, showing the jury, State's Exhibit 15.
It's not
if
on
you
screen
can,
yet, but we've seen it.
Circle
Okay, there it
the,
is.
the orange star that's associated with where your door was struck. Thank you. And the
And that
approximate
shows
location that you
4
observed the
dancing
woman
grannies
to your
died.
left.
Overruled. You may answer.
He's back to relevancy.
And to your right. Next, I want to show you what has been.
Before you move on, I just want the record to reflect, because it wasn't screen captured, that the stars that he circled on Exhibit 15
Represented
Before,
Jane
so we can
and the
capture
dancing
it.
grannies.
Can you again circle the area where you and your family were?
overruled. He may do it again since it was cleared before we captured it.
And then the area where you saw a body down on the ground to your left? And that's, you indicate that she had plaid pants, or it was a woman who had plaid pants?
Plaid, looked like pajama pants.
Okay.
Correct.
Do you recall what else she was wearing?
I don't.
Okay.
A
And then
red
to your
poncho
right.
or cloak.
Okay. And that would be the circles, if we can save that and mark it as 15.
C, D. Got to figure out what to mark it as.
I think we're on B as well. It'll be marked as Exhibit B. Sorry, 15B.
And where you marked the circle to your left, that was associated with the same place where there's a name Jane Kulik?
Yes.
Overruled.
And where you circled to the right, there are 7 different names under dancing grannies. Is that fair?
Leading the
Overruled. You may
witness.
answer.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm
next-
sorry, I didn't hear the last part. that you said.
Obviously leading.
Are you withdrawing that?
No, I'm not.
What did you say then?
I said it's pretty obvious from the picture. It's leading the witness.
All right, your objections noted. It's overruled. His answers may stand.
Thank you. Sharon, next I'm going to show you Exhibit 49, which is a video.
Brooks's
I'm first gonna have it
commentary is
played or
unhelpful.
put in front of you on your screen. If you can just let me know when you see a depiction on that screen.
I see it.
And you saw first couple seconds of that. Let me play it one more time and then ask you if you recognize that. Okay. I stopped it at 3 seconds. And do you recognize that area?
I do.
What is that area?
That's the corner right in front of People's Park where we were at the parade.
Okay. And you had said, is People's Park across from Steaming Cup?
Oh, sorry, Steaming Cup. Yeah, People's Park is directly across from Steaming Cup
And that would have been the corner that you were located with your family?
on at the Steaming Cup corner. Correct.
And do you see yourself depicted in this video?
I do.
Do you believe it accurately represents what you observed that day and what you did?
I do.
I would ask that Exhibit 49 be admitted into evidence and published to the jury.
For the record, how long is the video clip?
It is 8 seconds.
All right, thank you. Exhibit 49 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
Thank you.
Noted for the record, Your Honor.
It is.
Okay, if we can play it starting at 0, going through the entire 8 seconds. Thank you. And you stated that you did see yourself in that video?
I did.
Going to the initial screen of that video, which would be at 0 seconds. Oh, we can put it back up. Do you see yourself in, it's at 0 seconds, do you see yourself in this still frame?
Yes.
Can you circle, again, using the touch screen, where you are? And are you carrying Brindley?
I am.
Thank you. You can clear the screen. And next I would like to show just you Exhibit 50. And see if you recognize this intersection as it plays through for approximately 5 seconds. Do you recognize that as being the intersection you and your family were at?
Just forward of our location, yes.
So as you're looking at this, would it be, as you're looking at the screen to the left?
Sustain this in the form of the question, if you would please rephrase.
Where would you and your family have been in relationship to this, where this video was taken?
To the left.
Okay. And the person taking the video, are they on the same side of the street as you are or a different side?
Overruled. You
Looks
may
to be
answer.
the same side as our street.
Okay. And you just saw the dancing grannies go through?
Correct.
Does that accurately depict what you observed prior to the car coming through the parade?
Yes.
I would ask the court to admit exhibit number 50 and ask that it be published for the jury.
Gonna
Your objections noted.
Oh.
Exhibit 50 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
So we're going to start at 0 and just go through the 11 seconds. And then I'll ask you questions about the video if you need.
All right. It's on screen. There's the dancing grannies. Oh, there's his
Sir,
car.
is that the red SUV that you previously described as striking your
Wait,
car?
SUV.
It is.
He'd
And
object
that
to me
white
calling it a
vehicle
car.
that you saw in that frame, was that the vehicle that you saw that was impeding your ability to see it initially, or is that a different vehicle?
It's not hearsay.
Oh, you may answer.
It's his
I believe that was a
observation.
different vehicle.
It wasn't a Suburban.
And was that the
That
path of
looked like
travel that
it
you
was
observed that vehicle take?
the
which
dancing
was on
grannies.
the
Support vehicle.
north side, thank you. North side of the street.
It is.
And then after it passed that intersection, you indicated that it went towards the middle and into the grannies.
It felt like that.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, any questions for this witness?
Yes. Just 1 second.
No tears this time, though.
Do you remember what time it was?
Luckily,
when
we
you
didn't
observed
see any carnage on
the
screen,
vehicle?
static. But we did see,
I don't recall the specific.
we saw
time
him
I
drive
red
past
SUV.
the support vehicle, approaching the grannies.
You stated earlier that you saw the vehicle clip the corner. Would that be fair to say?
That's what
I
he
saw-
said.
Clip the corner of where the
The
children are
curb.
standing, correct.
And the
And
curb was
what do you
hanging
mean by
out.
clip?
It extended
Come into contact with children.
because
that were
there
in
was
front of
on
that
screen,
group
on
of
street
kids.
angled parking.
Is
And
that
then-
how you would define clip?
The curb extended
That's my
out
definition of clip, correct.
alongside that parking, and they were standing on
You
that
stated
sort of peninsula
also that-
extending.
It veered quickly away from, I'm guessing, that corner. What do you mean by veered quickly away?
The vehicle at one point was coming straight at us,
And
and
it
then the next
turned.
moment it was heading 45 degrees back on the original route. So it quickly turned to get back onto the street. Otherwise it would have come onto the corner, onto that intersection.
And
onto the
mowed
street.
his
So
entire
it's fair to
group
say
down.
if the vehicle did not quickly veer, as you say, it would have ran right into the people on the corner.
Into more than just his daughter and
It's a fair
the
statement.
friend's daughter.
Is it also a fair statement to assume that the vehicle veered quickly away from that because it didn't want to strike the people on the corner?
Speculation.
Grounds.
Speculation.
Grounds.
Sustained. Calls for speculation on the part of this witness. You do not have to answer.
In your opinion, why would the vehicle have quickly veered?
Objection again,
Grounds.
speculation.
Grounds.
Sustained. Calls for speculation.
Yep.
If you were driving the vehicle
Jesus.
and were able at any time to see people directly in your path, would you veer away?
Objection, relevance for this
Grounds.
trial.
Sustained.
He wasn't driving. You were.
And I had a grounds for the sustain.
Sustain.
It's not relevant for this witness to answer that question. Calls for a hypothetical that he has not been qualified to answer.
He's not an expert
It's also
witness.
Foundation grounds.
I mean, plus, it's like, so I
Did you
veered
get a
away
look at
from
the driver
you
of the
into the
vehicle?
dancing grannies. So I'm pretty
I
much a
recall
saint.
Looking into the window, but my memory doesn't put a face to that or an image to that. So no.
Did you get the license plate number of the vehicle?
License place.
You see any tents on the vehicle that you recall?
No, I was not paying attention to the vehicle.
He was paying attention to his kids and to the
after it
body
came
of the
down,
woman
barreling
you
off the
struck.
children. My eyes, tunnel vision to the kids.
So it'd be fair to say that with you focusing on the kids, it would be difficult to describe the vehicle at that point.
No, he said it was a red
Outside
SUV.
of it obviously being a red SUV in my mind as I saw it come down, I couldn't recall any other details about the vehicle.
So it'd be fair to say the only thing you can recall about the vehicle was the color of it.
And that it's an
That it was a
SUV.
red SUV, a larger vehicle.
So the color of it.
Correct.
You're mischaracterizing. He said red SUV, not just red.
You stated
Red
that
SUV.
you initially waited before you seek medical attention. Any reason why you would
Seeked?
wait?
The word is
I walked
sought.
through the variables earlier. The hospital was on lockdown. I'm familiar with hospital operations enough
It's
to know that the
because,
acuity for my
unlike
daughter
you,
didn't warrant
he
me
put
taking
others
resources from other
ahead
victims.
of his own needs.
My wife's a provider, an urgent care nurse practitioner. I felt she would be in a better position 15, 20 minutes later to assess and handle that from there.
You stated you did the father thing, as you put it, and downplayed the significance of the injury. Any reason why you would downplay it?
Because dads take kids as
I think my
exaggerating all the
initial
time.
reaction was a little confusion of what was going on.
I am
and not
Charles.
seeing any
I had
bones sticking
technical
out or any
difficulties this
blood.
morning, so
I immediately went into this sort of you're okay.
just
meaning
about catch up at
compared
lunch,
to everything else
hopefully.
I'm seeing around us, you're in an okay position right now to get home. So I don't know if it was downplaying the injury per se, but it was more of just a triaging in my own mind of going, it's not that, it's okay.
It would be fair to say
Let
that
him
the
finish
language
his
you
answers.
used was you
Stop
downplayed the
interrupting
injury.
him.
Would that be
Correct.
fair to say?
Yep, that's correct.
But that's his initial impression. It was diagnosed. You broke 4 of her toes and her tibia and
After the
fibula.
vehicle passed you, did you observe anyone being struck?
No,
Before the vehicle approached, did you observe anyone being struck?
yes,
You also stated that at one point, after you were observing the path of travel of the vehicle, that it felt like it was straightening up into the middle of the parade route. Would that be fair to say?
yes.
What do you mean by it felt that way?
Maybe in an incorrect term on my part. My recollection of the memory was that when it veered off, it went on and continued down the middle of Main Street.
So would it be fair to say that you really don't recall?
I
No,
certainly recall.
he saw
the
it
vehicle
go further
heading
down
back
Main
down
Street.
Main
Whether
Street,
he
down
saw
the
it
middle of
go
Main Street.
I'm referring
straight
to
or at
you
a
saying that
5-degree angle, it's
what it
turned away
felt
from
like
him
as
toward the
as
middle of the
opposed to what you
road.
recall it doing.
Ah,
I used the incorrect term there. When I said felt, it was more of the word choice of recall I should have used.
he chooses such stupid things to get hung up on.
And you stated that you would estimate the speed of the vehicle to be about 25 miles an hour.
25 to
I
30.
said 25 to 30 miles per hour.
So somewhere in between that.
Correct.
And you also stated that it was the vehicle was about 30 feet away from you.
When I
Initially,
first initially saw the video the vehicle was 30 feet away. It was just on the other side of the vehicle.
It was
the large suburban
feet
vehicle.
away or
So how
inches away
could you come
when
to
it
the
struck his
determination of
daughter.
the speed?
Because it was barreling right at us. So as it came around the vehicle,
How
started
could you
coming towards
determine the
us,
speed? Because he
it
watched
felt
you
like 25 to
driving.
30 miles per hour, and
He's
then
not
as it veered off,
testifying
no
about a
brake lights, just
static moment in
veered on and
time.
continued right down Main Street at that rate
So-
of speed.
So it felt like that was the speed.
He didn't see your speedometer.
It felt like it was going that speed.
Seriously?
So I'm using the term felt, and I am defining that as sort of a mental
The reason he
recollection or a
said
gut
25 to
feel.
30,
I'm not
it's an
trained in
estimate.
assessing speed. So my
It's his
gut feel, what I felt
observation.
at that time, driving that street numerous times, is that it was going 25 to 30 miles per hour.
So would it be fair to say, based on what you just said, that you're not trained in speed analyzation, that
He's not an expert
would it be
witness.
fair,
He's testifying
be
about
fair
what
to
he
say that
observed.
you don't know
The
exactly
expert
the speed
witness
of the vehicle?
Did give a very
Grounds.
accurate.
That's based on what he
Hold on,
said.
you asked multiple questions, so I'm going off of the very last question that you asked. And that is, would it be fair to say that you don't know the speed of the vehicle? To that question, the objection is overruled and the witness may answer.
Yes, without looking at a speedometer, I would have no way of knowing exactly how fast that vehicle was going.
But it was going faster than the 2 miles an hour that the SUV driver testified
Did you
he was
notice any
going.
damage to the vehicle at that point that it passed you?
I don't recall honing in on that level of detail.
The
on
jury's going to
vehicle, so I
have
don't
an
recall.
opportunity to inspect the SUV at a secured site. They'll see if there's any damage, which I'm sure there is.
Do you recall if you may have seen anyone else present in the vehicle?
I saw the person behind you holding a gun to your head saying, "Drive, drive, drive. Hit those dancing grannies."
Did you ever make any statements to law enforcement after the incident at any time?
My wife and I both shared information on behalf of the crash report and our findings, or our initial statement.
And the wife, I'm
Recall,
assuming,
if that was the
reporting
same
on the
night of
injuries
incident
to
or
the
in following
daughter,
days after.
being a
was
medical
following
professional, since she wasn't at the parade.
Do you recall if it was a few days after or maybe
How
a
does
week
this
or two?
matter? I mean, yeah,
don't
if it's
recall
6 months
specifically.
later, memories fade.
I believe probably within
But
a week or so.
This just
Any
shows
idea
how
of
busy the
why it
police
took so
were.
long for
Ob-
you to give a report?
Objection.
You and your wife rather to give a report.
Yeah, just
It's speculation.
dealing with my
How-
daughter and getting her situated, and just the magnitude of
The police
incident.
had
I think it
so
took
many
them a little
people
bit
to
longer. I think we were
interview.
in contact pretty quickly, but it just took a while for them to get the resources back to us to collect everything.
Did you initially initiate the contact which attempting to file a report?
I can't recall specifically. It's been close to a year, but I believe we did reach out to the DA's office at some point in the following days.
Did you do any follow-up after that initial contact to see if maybe your report had been filed or
I mean,
anything
he
like that?
At that point, the DA's office stayed in
like
contact
before
with us
they got in
to let us
contact
know
to
that
take
everything
his
they needed had
report.
been captured.
After they take his report,
Do you recall who
What?
you talked to from the DA's office?
I don't recall.
Do you recall do you recall being told that you may be called to testify in this matter?
he was
I do.
probably told he'd be called to
Were
testify
you seeking to testify
before
in
he
this matter?
testified.
I know I was subpoenaed directly from the state, the DA's office.
So you didn't have any intention to testify in this matter before being subpoenaed?
I knew it was a possibility. I never reached out to request to testify. I let them do their job, and they reached out to me to let me know that I would get subpoenaed.
I try to keep it a little cleaner than Artie Empty Woods, but
Have you read or seen any
he
complaint in
might
this matter?
he might drive me to Artie
Grounds.
levels.
Sustained.
And I did see that Artie was streaming today.
Have you or your wife filed any claims in
That
this
his
matter?
stream was starting closer to now.
Which claim defines?
I saw it when it was scheduled.
Referring to being an injured party or anything of that nature?
We submitted a claim with the DA's office, I believe, for potential medical reimbursement
Crime Victims Relief Fund.
So that would
or
be in
something.
regards to the medical bills.
for my daughter, correct?
So would it be fair to say that you have a financial interest in
No.
this matter? Grounds.
Sustained.
Would you consider yourself to be an injured party in this matter?
His daughter's an injured party.
Me personally, no, not physically,
So you weren't injured in any way in this?
not physically injured. No,
He testified his daughter was injured. And once again, not physically injured. He suffered mental injury.
Are you aware of the plaintiff in this matter?
Stop.
Objection relevance.
Grounds.
She said relevance.
Sustained.
Listen.
Ever had any contact with the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Relevance.
Vague. Sustained.
Ever had any
Shut him down.
phone conversations or personal interactions with the plaintiff in this
Shut him down, Judge.
Grounds.
Again, with regard to the nature of the question, say.
Sustained.
I don't believe that's vague, Your Honor. I asked specifically if there were any phone conversations or personal
Stop arguing.
interactions. I don't think that's vague. I think that's pretty
What
clear.
you think is irrelevant.
I also believe the jury deserves to know
What you think
if
is
there's a plaintiff in
irrelevant.
this matter.
Your objection
The
is noted.
judge
It's
decides
to
what's
that particular
admissible.
Statement. Your statement is noted. To the objection from the state, it is sustained. Next question, please.
The judge decides what the jury can know.
Are you aware if there even is a plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Shut him
Grounds.
down.
Sustained.
May I have the grounds for the sustain, Your Honor?
Substain. And it's a legal
I would
conclusion.
object and say that it is very relevant. Again, citing
Your
that.
objection is noted. Next question, please.
God, substain. I have dibstain to him. He's got to think of another way to word his soft-sittery.
Were you ever contacted by anyone who identified as the plaintiff in this
Exactly, static.
matter? Grounds.
Sustained. Still vague.
That's pretty clear, Your Honor.
I've had
The
skid
jury
marks less
deserves to know
offensive
this
than
information.
Mr.
him.
Brooks, the objection has been sustained. Next question, please.
No further questions.
Thank you.
About
Any reader?
time.
Briefly. Sir, at cross-examination, you had testified that you did not see any brake lights. Is that correct?
that's correct.
Ground.
Relevancy.
Overruled.
Relevancy.
Sorry, correct, yes.
You testified further on cross-examination that you observed the red SUV strike an individual to your left. Is that correct?
Objection. He also stated that he was focused on his children and not focused on.
That's an
He
argumentative statement.
testified
What's
that
the legal
he
basis for your
saw-
objection, Mr. Brooks?
That is hearsay.
It's not
Overruled.
hearsay. He
I did
testified
not
that he
see the
saw.
individual to my left get hit. I just saw her on the ground, or the victim on the ground.
After you saw her on the ground, did the red SUV stop?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled. You may answer.
I
I
mean,
did not
clearly
see
he
the
did
red
not do his
SUV
homework.
from that duration of the parade. I didn't see the red SUV until the vehicle had already passed.
The judge needs to
that
instruct
position
the
and came
jail
around the
staff
other large
to
SUV,
hold
so
the
I can't
book
speak
open
to
in
it.
front of him tonight.
Was there anything that
To
you
the
could see in the
hearsay
roadway that would have
section
prevented that red
and
SUV
make
from
him read
stopping
it.
before it started veering towards your group?
Objection. Hearsay. Say he didn't see. couldn't
The
see
objection to
above that.
hearsay is noted. It's overruled. You may answer.
Can you ask the question, please?
Certainly. Did you see anything in front of you that would have prevented the red SUV from stopping as it passed that car that obstructed your view initially?
Objection.
So once again, he could have
You may
stopped.
answer.
Nothing that I saw would have stopped him. That wouldn't have allowed him to stop.
And after he impacted your group that was watching the parade and it continued on towards the dancing grannies, was there anything that you could see that would have stopped the red SUV?
Objection. Who is the he you're referring to?
I don't understand the objection. Were you done asking your question?
I was.
Overruled. You may
Objection.
answer.
I don't consent to being called he. We don't even know the he that's being referred to.
Overruled.
The witness didn't identify a he.
Overruled.
Your consent is
I
irrelevant.
don't recall seeing anything on the road that would have stopped him from stopping, prevented him from stopping.
Thank you. Nothing further.
All right, thank you. You may step down. This will be an excellent point to take our mid-morning break. We'll be in recess for about 15 minutes. All rise for the jury, please.
All right. I'm going to take my quick break. I'll be back and then fast forward and we'll get started again. So see you in about 5 minutes.
All right, thank you, everyone. We are in recess. We'll be back in about 15 minutes.
All right, I'm back. Now I will fast forward and we will sustain with watching the video. I know that wasn't the best formulated sentence. But I had to make a joke. Okay. Pretty close. Good to know, Static.
All right, we are back on the record. Appearances are as they were before.
What's his
Madam
objection
Clerk,
going to
have
be
the
right
jury
now? Is it still going
come
to be
out,
Sixth
and the
Amendment?
state should be ready
Or
to
is it
call
going to
its
be
next witness.
subject matter jurisdiction as the jury's on its way?
Still appearing by a third party for my client
Third party for his client.
in this matter.
You don't have a client.
As a living human being.
Unfortunately.
Also would like for the record to address subject matter jurisdiction again, Your Honor, if you would like to answer that now.
No, she's done with
not.
it.
And will not.
Is that a judiciary determination?
The record stands.
Judiciary, did he say? Judiciary?
So you would not be answering that.
All right, the record.
Why
shows
does he
that the jury
wait
is coming in.
until the jury's on its
Is
way?
that tacit agreement again, Your Honor?
A tacket agreement. That would be tacit.
I'm not answering that.
She's not agreeing to anything.
So is that a yes or no?
Failure to answer is not agreement. This is sovereign citizen nonsense.
I'll take that as a yes for the record, Your Honor.
That's not either, sir. I'm not
You
answering
didn't
that.
reply.
Exactly. She didn't reply.
Remember, non-response is consent.
No, it's not. You don't set the rules here, Brooks.
All right, thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Statement call its next witness.
The state would call Heather Rashadi.
Are we on to the dancing grannies now?
All right, good morning, Ms. Rashadi. If you would please make your way to the witness stand. When you get there, please remain standing. Raise your right hand, and my clerk, Teresa, will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth,
Hello.
the whole truth, and nothing
Well.
but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Please be seated. First thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names for the record and spell each.
Heather Rashadi, Heather Ricciotti.
Thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
It does grip, and usually
Mr.
I'd
Shadi,
let
I
it
wanna
go,
direct your attention
but I
to
really
November
don't like the guy, so
21st
I'm
of
petty
last year.
when
Were
it
you
comes
at the
to his
Christmas
use of
parade held
language.
on Main Street in the city of Waukesha?
I was.
Who were you there with?
I was there with my 3 children.
How old are they?
At the time, they would have been 7, 5.
She might have been in
and
the
not
same
quite
group
2.
as the previous
Do you recall
witness
where you
to
were
testify
seated or
about her
standing?
kid being
We
hit.
were on the corner by the steaming cup.
I'm gonna ask that Exhibit 51, which was previously admitted into evidence, be published to the jury.
Permission granted.
And she might be the doctor, because there was a physician
Can
in
you
the
see
group.
the area highlighted on the screen in front of you? Actually on the table right in front of you.
Oh,
Sorry.
Yes.
Okay, and does that look familiar as the steaming cup?
Yes, we were on the paver portion of the corner there.
Can you circle or
Sort
put
of the
X in the
peninsula
area that
I
you
was
and your 3 kids
mentioning.
were at, approximately?
Sure.
It's a
Touchscreen, okay. So I would have been a little bit further back from my kids, maybe like over here. And my kids,
Which is still
my 2
very
older
close to the
kids
curb.
were, they were in the street right about there.
Okay. And at some point, were you standing? I'm sorry.
I was standing and my youngest was in a stroller with me.
And the other 2 kids, were they in the street?
Yep, they were with the other kids that were just waiting for candy from the floats.
Were their kids on like your right side as you're watching the parade?
They were kind of just in front of me, a little to the side though, yeah.
Okay, thank you. What, was that the approximate area that your kids were standing?
Even out probably a little bit further than
Did-
probably a little bit further than where I circled.
Did anyone raise a concern about where they were standing at some point during the parade?
There was concern about it. A police officer had come by and actually moved all the kids back a little bit. And there was another mom there, and her daughter was near my kids. And she had actually said to me, gosh, they're out a little bit far. And I said, everything's going so slow. They're not going to get hit. They'll be fine.
Famous
So,
last words.
At some point during the parade, was your attention diverted from what was the floats and the participants and the spectators to something else? Was your attention drawn away?
Yeah, there was one point when there was a break in the actual parade, and an SUV came down the road, and it was coming faster than any parade float should have been coming. So it was confusing, and I didn't know what was happening at the time, but it did veer into the crowd just right in front of me where my son got hit.
Okay. So first of all, can you draw an arrow on the direction that the vehicle was going?
Sure. It was coming from this way.
And what direction, if you can kind of follow that line, what direction was it going as you said it veered towards you?
It wasn't going straight. It was just kind of like, and then it just kind of went in this way and ended up right about there.
Were any of your kids, one was in a stroller that was by you,
Mhm.
up on the ledge, I think, or the,
Yeah, further back.
were either of your other two kids struck by the SUV?
My middle son, Owen, was struck by the SUV when it came through.
And Owen is 7?
He was 5 at the time. He's 6 now.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's exactly
He's the
what I
middle
had down. I
one.
was just testing you to make sure that you knew the ages.
It's hard to keep them straight, but I sometimes do.
Thank you. Did you see the path of travel after the SUV came towards you and hit Owen?
I didn't, because I gathered up my kids as fast as I could, and we had parked in the public lot down here, and so I just gathered them up as fast as I could, and we just ran to the car and to get out of there. There was a lot of chaos and screaming and crying and.
Understandable.
Did you? What injuries did Owen receive?
He ended up needing 6 stitches. He had a gash on his eye, above his eye, like in his eyebrow.
So did
So we needed 6 stitches because it was
I don't
pretty
know.
deep. They couldn't just glue it or anything like that.
Now you put your hand above your right eyebrow. Was it above his right eyebrow?
Yeah.
Okay. And where were the kids facing, if you recall, right before the SUV came and struck Owen?
They were waiting for the next float. So he was turned facing the way the floats were coming, because there wasn't anything going on at the time. We were just waiting for the next
I'm
thing.
so
we were
glad
just
they haven't called any
watching
children
for
yet.
The next float to come by.
I have a feeling
So I'm
he
assuming
will.
his
So he was-
body.
Yeah, he was turned.
Okay, thank you.
I wonder if his
Did you get
eyebrow
medical attention right away?
was from
I
strike by the
dropped
car
my youngest
or
and my oldest off at
knocked
home,
to the curb.
and then I quickly took Owen to Waukesha Memorial.
And that's where he was treated?
That's where he was treated.
Did you see, first of all, what color was the SUV?
It was a maroonish red.
Did you notice anything distinctive about it other than it was a maroonish red SUV?
No,
Did you see the vehicle prior to it striking Owen strike anyone?
I didn't.
Did you see the vehicle strike anyone after it struck Owen?
I didn't.
I mean, you saw it strike your friend's
Oh,
daughter
sorry.
too, I would imagine.
We'd ask that a screenshot be taken of State's
That was
Exhibit 51. I
simultaneous.
believe that would be 51A.
Objection.
And we'd ask that it be admitted into evidence.
Objection.
Grounds.
Overruled.
My objection was to clarification on whether she was done or not.
No.
I believe it is 51A. It is also captured, and did you move that one, Ed, to evidence?
Thank you.
Sorry, did you move 51A?
I did.
All right, and 51A is also received.
And the state would have no other questions for this witness. Thank you.
I'm-
All right, any questions, sir?
Yes. You stated a few minutes ago that at one point before the vehicle came through that you were having a conversation to the effect of things were going slow, they're not going to get hit.
I never said I was having a conversation.
Well, let me back up.
Let him finish his question.
Who were you talking to when you said everything's going slow, pretty slow, they're not going to get hit?
Another mom.
So would it be fair to say that's a conversation?
Yes.
And why did you make reference to getting hit at that point?
Because I didn't expect my kid to get hit at a parade.
So you had already made the determination that they were going to get hit at a parade?
No,
at that
she
point?
said she didn't think they would. You're
Argument is
mischaracterizing
saying
and
you do not have to
arguing.
answer that question.
Why would getting hit be in your head at that point?
Because
Grounds.
Relevance.
Grounds.
I mean,
Overruled. She may
seriously?
answer the question.
I wasn't concerned about my children being hit at a parade because typically at a parade, floats are going very slow.
And they're typically not veering off into the crowd.
It still doesn't quite answer the question because the statement
Yes, it
was
does. You're
things are
arguing.
going pretty slow, they won't get hit.
Stop arguing with her.
What prompted the statement they won't get hit at that point?
Another mom was concerned about how much into the street the kids were waiting for candy.
So it'd be fair to say that the initial concern was from another parent
Correct.
and not yourself.
I wasn't worried about my kids getting
She
hit
said
at a
she
parade
wasn't
as I shouldn't
concerned
have been.
because the parade was going slow. You're the danger, not
You
the
stated
parade.
also that you dropped your other kids off before seeking medical attention. Would that be fair to say?
I said that.
Any reason why you didn't seek medical attention immediately?
I did seek medical attention immediately.
You also just stated that you dropped your other kids
Well,
off.
what do
My
you
house
mean
is
by
on the way to the
immediately?
hospital, so I dropped 2 of my children off so they wouldn't have to sit at the hospital.
You mean you didn't teleport your kid to the hospital? You actually took the time to drive?
So your intention at that point was to seek medical attention.
That's why she went to the hospital.
I sought medical attention.
Was
Yes.
that your intent?
That's what I did.
Was it your intent?
Objection, I guys did.
Grounds.
Sustained. Asked and answered.
He's a moron.
Do you recall about what time you arrived at the parade?
No,
You recall what time you left the parade?
no.
Funny how looking at your watch isn't your priority when your kid's been hit by a maniac.
Were you at the parade with anyone other than your children at that time?
No,
About 1,000 other people. 2,000.
Before you were able to see the vehicle that struck your son, or was it your son?
Yes.
Before you saw the vehicle, did you observe anyone else struck before that moment?
No.
After that moment?
No.
It's almost like she was focused on her kids.
About how long did it take you to gather your children up before?
Not very long.
Once again, this does nothing to disprove what he did. It does nothing to impact her credibility
Do you recall how long
or
you
to
were treated,
contradict her
at the
testimony.
hospital?
I don't know. We were there for a while waiting. The waiting room was full of people that were hurt.
Took a long time because you injured a lot of people.
Were you ever told at any point
They were
during
overwhelmed.
your waiting process that you probably could have went to another medical facility?
Who cares?
Sustained.
The look on her face, in her eyes, it's utter contempt. She hates him.
You recall giving a statement to law enforcement?
Yes.
Do you recall if it was the same
Exactly,
night of the
Static.
incident?
I gave
It's
a
so
report
foreign
the
to
incident
him,
at the hospital.
putting other people first.
And did you follow up on that
He-
report at any time?
I can't diagnose him,
No, I didn't.
but I think there's
Any reason
narcissism.
why?
I think he's a sociopath.
Why would I
It's
follow
all
up?
about him.
Well,
Oops,
it would
sorry.
be fair to say.
It would not be
would it
fair
not,
to
that
say.
after making a report to law enforcement, you would want to follow up maybe to see what's going to be done about the report. Would that be
Or
fair
you
to say?
trust the
I knew
police.
that the police were going to do their jobs. So I didn't have a reason to follow up. They contacted me when they needed to contact me.
It's not her job to follow up.
So it'd be fair to say you just gave the report and then just left the rest up to
That's
law
what she said. It's law enforcement's job, not
Sure.
hers. If they needed more, they'd go to her. If she thought of something else, she'd go to them, but
And I'm assuming that
she
law
wasn't
enforcement
conducting an
at
investigation.
some point got back in touch with you. Would that be fair to say?
Correct.
Do you recall about when that was?
Either the next day or the day after.
And the bailiff behind him isn't Howard Hamlin today. No, Better Call Saul.
Do you recall if it was a detective or a regular officer?
I believe it was a detective.
It would
Do you recall the name of
generally
the
would
detective?
be a
No.
detective. Patrol officers
Were you at any
don't
time
tend to
given a
conduct
card
ongoing
by the
investigations.
detective to be able to keep in contact?
I don't recall.
She doesn't collect police cards like sovereign citizens and frauditors. This isn't Pokemon.
Do you recall if your interview was written down as a summary or if it was recorded?
I think he did both.
You can ask the officer how
Did
he
you
made
file
his
any claims
report.
related to this matter?
No.
Ever read or saw a complaint in this matter?
No.
Stop.
Grounds?
Sustained.
The same grounds as
rephrase it if
all
you
the
want.
other 10 times you've asked that
Sustained is to the
question.
form of the question.
Whom are you contacted by in regards to possibly testifying in this matter?
It's not possibly testifying. She is testifying.
I don't know. Probably the DA's office. I don't know.
Were you subpoenaed?
I was subpoenaed to be here.
Do you recall who that subpoena was
She
from?
just says she doesn't remember.
I don't know.
Probably the DA's office.
So it'd be fair to say that you received a subpoena,
She just said she was subpoenaed.
and never read who it was from. Would that be fair to
She
say?
can't
From the state of
recall.
Wisconsin.
When you
She
say
said
the
she
state of
can't
Wisconsin,
recall.
who are you referring to?
Objection relevance.
Grounds,
Sustained.
grounds for the sustain.
Relevance.
Would
And
you
there are no
consider
grounds for
yourself
the
an injured party in
sustain.
this matter?
I was not physically injured myself.
Her daughter was. Her son, sorry. The previous witness, it was the daughter.
Have you filed a claim in this matter in any
She
way?
asked and answered.
Sustained.
Would you consider yourself to be the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection relevance.
Grounds,
Sustained.
grounds for the sustain.
Not relevant. Also
She
under
already
9611.
told you. Finally, Judge. She told him to
Are
move
you aware
on.
of any plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds,
Okay, Judge, shut him down. You
Sustained.
warned him.
On relevance grounds.
You warned him, Judge. Shut him down.
ever had a conversation with the plaintiff at any time in this matter?
Objection relevance.
Grounds,
Come on,
Sustained is
Judge.
to the form of the question.
Come on.
You may rephrase it if you would like. Some more specificity.
have you ever had any phone conversations or personal interactions with the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection vague.
Grounds,
Shut him down.
Sustained is to the form of a question. You may rephrase it if you so choose with more specificity so that it's not
As
vague.
As in, he
are you
can
aware
specify. Have you had phone
of
conversations
the
with the
identity of the
prosecutor?
plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds,
Not relevant.
grounds.
It's not relevant. Sustained.
Are you aware if there is a plaintiff in this matter?
Shut
Objection
him
relevance.
down. Come on, Judge.
Sustained.
Grounds for the sustain?
Relevance, she
Relevance
said.
grounds.
And it's a legal conclusion. It's
Also under
it's
90611.
nothing that she witnessed.
With all respect, Your Honor, the jury deserves to know this information. We're withholding important information from
No.
the jury. They deserve to know this.
The jury will disregard the statement made by Mr. Brooks as not being an accurate statement of the law. Next question.
That's quite a confused look on his face.
So to the best of your knowledge, you're not aware of any plaintiff in this
She,
matter?
Objection.
Grounds,
she didn't say she's not aware of a
Sustained.
plaintiff.
Mr. Brooks, please.
So that's
move on
misstating
to another
her
topic
testimony,
under
'cause there is no
90611. You are
testimony.
hereby advised that if you do
It's
not move on to a new
irrelevant.
topic, I
It's a
will
legal
close the
conclusion.
cross-examination.
with all due respect, Your Honor, this is important information the jury deserves. to
No,
know.
it's not.
Mr. Brooks,
The
ask
judge
relevant
decides
question,
what the
please.
jury
That
can
holds
know.
A lot of relevance, Your Honor.
It's not.
Mr. Brooks, one last opportunity to ask a question, otherwise the court will declare the cross-examination closed under 90611.
No further questions.
Can you
About
redirect?
time.
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. You may step down.
I wish he was wearing a fez so I could say he's a moron.
Statement called to next witness.
Daniel Knapp.
Okay, we heard about a nap.
All right, Mr. Knapp, if you would please make your way to the witness stand, which is to my right, up one riser. When you get there, please remain standing, raise your right hand, and my clerk, Teresa, who's to my left, will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, sir. Please have a seat. First thing I will ask that you do is to state your first and last
he
names
was in
for
the group
record, and then
There
spell
on the corner.
each.
Daniel Knapp, Daniel, Knapp, Knapp.
So I think his kid
Go
was
ahead, your
struck.
witness.
Thank you. Morning, sir.
Morning.
I can direct your attention to November 21st of 2021. Were you at the Waukesha Christmas parade on that date?
I was.
Who were you with?
I was with my family, my wife, and 3 children, as well as 3 other families. There's a group of 19 of us.
And by chance, were you with, I'm sorry, Laura. Yes, thank you.
I know you come for my amazing humor, Static.
Yes.
And there better not be a
And
season
Matt had
two.
this
Overruled.
It needs to be canceled
question
after
and
season
answer.
1.
We'll stand.
And good morning, C.
Sir, how old are your kids?
My kids at the time of the parade were 11, 7, and 3.
Where were you seated for the parade?
My family was in front of the Steaming Cup, so that would be on the northeast corner of Main and Clinton Street.
And I said seated, but I guess were you standing or where were you on that corner?
Yeah, so I was behind the group of we had 12 children that were lined up across the street, or
I
on the
wish I
side of the
had
street,
that energy.
waiting to receive candy. I was behind the children, so closer to the Steaming Cup.
Was that the same general location as the other parents?
That is correct, yes. My wife, Stephanie, was with my daughter, Kelsey, going in and out of the Steaming Cup, given it was a little chilly that day. And my daughter was a little cold, so she would go in and out of the Steaming Cup. So she was a little further to the west than I was, but we were all in the general direction.
Okay. And how old is Kelsey?
Kelsey, at the time of the incident, was 3. Today, she's 4.
Now, at some point, did you hear anything unusual during the parade?
Yeah, so in watching the parade, with a lot of circumstance pomp, bands and noises, but then all of a sudden,
The corgi's
the noises
chasing a
changed,
squirrel out there.
to what I would describe as sounds of screaming.
Because I know you're all on
and
squirrel
at
walk.
the time when that occurred,
And the chickens
the
are
direction
pecking around.
turned from facing the parade down to the east, looking down Main Street.
So as you're facing the parade, would east be to your left? Or to your
That
right?
is correct, to my left.
To your left.
I've got
And when you
to.
said screaming, you said this is a parade. I'm assuming that there are
It'll be
kids
straight
and
to
adults
DVD.
screaming and yelling. What was different about the screaming that you heard?
No one will see it.
In my recollection, there is a difference between laughing and having a joyful time compared to screaming out of fear, terror. It was just a noticeable difference.
You
And
can
the screaming
definitely
that you heard out
hear.
of fear or terror, that was the
change.
screaming that you heard when you looked left.
That is correct.
What did you see?
So what I saw when I looked left was there was a SUV pulling a float that was down to our left side that had not got to the position that we were at, and all of a sudden a car, red SUV, pulled around that float and headed directly in our direction.
You said a red SUV. Did you notice anything unusual about it as the car came at you?
It was flying.
Other than obviously a car coming at us during a parade was something that was very unexpected. And as it got closer, as I mentioned,
The only time I've ever had a vehicle come directly at me
northwest
in a
direction,
parade is
as it passed the
when
SUV
the
coming directly
motorcycle
at our
police,
location.
the highway
And,
patrol are writing information.
in terms of
They're doing loop-de-loops and
anything else,
circles and
at that point, no.
very
I'm going to show
slowly.
and ask the court to publish Exhibit 51.
And they're
show
primarily
up in
why
front
the
of your
green line is
screen.
painted down the road.
Go ahead.
Is it gives
First
the
of all,
width
sir, is
for the
this,
formation writing.
Does this
People
area
walk
look
in front of
familiar?
them saying, get behind
does.
the line.
And where's the steaming cup?
The Steaming Cup would be the building I'm circling right now.
It's kind of an interesting
And where
looking
were you
building.
seated or standing approximately?
Yeah, so I was standing somewhere right about here.
And where were your kids?
So we had, like I mentioned before, a group of 12 that were lined up. Kelsey would have been the furthest to the west, and I would approximate that the 12th child furthest to the east would have been somewhere in this direction or location, excuse me.
And do you know approximately that would have been the location she would have been on the curb, meaning Kelsey, or would she have been off the curb, if you recall?
It's my recollection that she would have been off the curb. There was a lot of excitement with the children, and there was a
Did
police
Artie
officer that would often
cover one
push
of his
the children
cases?
back to ensure that they were staying out of the direction of the parade. And so it's my recollection
I
that they
think
would
I've
have been
seen
on
some
the street
coverage
at
of
that
this
time.
guy, Jonathan Lee
And
Riches.
still using Exhibit 51, when you state that this red SUV was coming at
He's
your group,
filed
can you,
hundreds,
you
if not
can you
thousands,
show the
of
direction
appeals,
of
hasn't he?
travel using this exhibit?
Overruled.
Asking the
Me,
direction
sir.
of travel is not leading the witness.
I would, the direction I would have, based on my recollection, was coming here, and again, right at our location. So coming here and then would have come back this direction into the middle of the street.
Okay. So let's kind of go through that. When you first saw the car, was it on, can you show by an arrow using Exhibit 51? Can you
Exactly.
show by arrow the,
I don't
I think you
remember
actually
ever
have
seeing
the direction
Shriners
that the
in the
parade was
parades
going?
I've been to. It's possible that
you
they
did with
have.
the arrow that you
but
previously pointed? Is
it-
that
Yeah, the direction of the parade was coming in this direction here.
And where specifically was the car coming from? Was it coming from, as you're looking at the car, was it coming from the left side of the road or the right side of the road?
It's more fun if you're intervening.
Overruled.
Just ask
The car was
Kim
coming from the
Blandino.
south side of Main Street.
Which is,
It had,
you're on the north side?
I'm on the north side
Okay.
by Steam Cup, so it had passed the
Dang.
SUV on the south side and then came into our purview at that point, coming on a northwest direction towards us.
So the red SUV passed another SUV?
That's correct. It had passed an SUV that had yet to come to our location. So
That's the
I'm not
Suburban.
exactly sure what
We
unit that
heard
was in
from
the
its
parade.
driver.
But as it
Wayne.
passed that SUV, it came into my purview, and that's the what I got sight of the vehicle.
So the SUV
And
that the red SUV
it would
passed,
frequently
would have
be
passed,
celebrities,
the red SUV would
wasn't
have
it?
passed
See?
the other SUV on the driver's side.
That is correct.
Okay. If I could have a screen capture of this, I believe it would be 51B.
I think it was Artie that covered it
And then-
on one of his live
It is
streams.
captured.
Artie's
We'll save
corporate
it as
fiction.
51B.
It also has,
Hold on. I'm sorry, was there an objection?
Yes,
The basis for the objection
relevancy.
is relevant. 51B has been captured, and I believe you had a statement about it.
yes, I'd ask that be moved into evidence.
It is received, 51B.
Noted for the record, Your Honor.
She already ruled on the
It already has
objection.
been. Yes, it will be noted.
Sir, continuing to look at 51, you had stated that the direction of
I
travel.
guess if you're in
was
prison with nothing
towards
better to
the
do,
middle
why
of-
not file
Main Street, is
frivolous
that correct?
motions in other people's
That is correct.
lawsuits?
Could you see what it was going towards?
So at the time of when that vehicle was coming towards our group, myself in particular, I saw the driver of that SUV coming right towards me and then start making a little bit of that, I guess, turning instead of the northwest direction, turning more to the west. And at that time, my concern after looking at this vehicle was realizing that he was heading directly for our children. As the vehicle passed myself and getting to the end of our group, which again, Kelsey was furthest on the west, and right next to Kelsey would have been a family friend, Brinley Harris. And I saw the vehicle strike my daughter. My daughter flew approximately 15 feet
wow.
towards the middle of the intersection of
That's a
Clinton
hard
and
hit.
Main. So at that point, a fatherly instinct kicked in, and my sole focus was
Brooks
at
is
my
going to
daughter
say,
at that
"What's
point,
a
so
fatherly
I did
instinct?"
not have any
mean,
contact,
He's
visual contact with the
procreated, but
vehicle
he
after
has
that
no
point.
fatherly instinct.
So you said Kelsey flew approximately 15 feet into Clinton Street?
But how could you
In
estimate 15
estimation,
feet?
Your
Did you
objection
use a tape measure?
Noted.
Already answered.
What was the objection?
That was already answered.
That's not my recollection, so it's overruled. I believe she was seeking clarification or additional details.
Can that be clarified? I mean, in the question?
No, go ahead and ask your question, Attorney Busy. Your objection's noted, it's overruled.
Is that a judicial determination, Your Honor?
Go ahead.
Everything she
Attorney
does
Busy.
is a judicial determination. She's the
So
judge.
from what did you do upon seeing that?
So after seeing my daughter get hit as the vehicle was turning again into the parade route, noticing my daughter was hit by the front right side of the vehicle.
Wow.
And watching my daughter and where she ended up was my sole focus. I ran over to her to check on the condition she was in.
And
So
what
you
was
actually
that?
saw
condition?
the red SUV's front right bumper strike your daughter?
That's correct.
Okay, and that's what caused her to be propelled into approximately 15 feet away?
That's correct.
What did you notice once you got to your daughter?
I noticed my daughter had a significant amount of blood on her face. She was conscious, but I would consider a look of, now mind you, she's 3 years old, a look of just complete fear and misunderstanding, just not
Okay.
understanding what just
Riches
occurred.
is an evil
What did you
person.
do?
So I
That's
picked up my daughter,
just cruel.
and not knowing exactly the situation that we were currently involved in, not knowing if there was another vehicle, just not really understanding.
You
the
never know.
situation.
Is the
I
danger
picked her up
past?
and I ran north on Clinton Street for about 10 yards. I stopped at that moment.
Which is why
I
people took
turned back
shelter
towards
in
Main
buildings.
Street to make eye contact with my
businesses.
wife and the rest of the group to ensure that the rest of the group was safe and just to get a bearing of where we were after making eye contact with my wife and asking the question, is everyone else safe? I proceeded to run with Kelsey in my arms. We were parked at Waukesha State Bank, which I grew up in Waukesha, so thankfully I'm very familiar with the surroundings in this general area, and I knew how close I was to the hospital. I ran with Kelsey. My brother-in-law
Impersonating someone else in court
with me
is a big no-no.
as we drove up to Waukesha Memorial Hospital and brought Kelsey into the hospital.
What injuries did Kelsey receive as a result of being struck by the red SUV?
So Kelsey received a tear in her spleen.
Oh, spleen bleeds
in
are
this
bad.
location.
And for the record, I just want to show
That's
that you pointed to the
dangerous.
left side
Correct.
of,
Back left side of Kelsey.
okay.
She received a broken nose, significant road rash and cuts to her facial area.
That's quite a distance,
which
spleen to
one of
nose.
them required some facial surgery.
Now,
Prior to the vehicle striking Kelsey, when you first saw the vehicle, did you hear it honking its horn?
I did not.
You stated that the vehicle was coming right at you. Were you able to see inside the vehicle?
I was.
I feel
many
bad
people were
that
inside
every
that vehicle?
time they say it was
I could
coming
only
right
see
at
one
me,
person. in
I'm
the
reminded
vehicle.
of the South
Presumably the
Park
driver?
with
Yes, it was on the driver's side. Front
with
driver's
Stan's
side.
uncle
Could you tell male or female?
and his friend
Yes,
when they're out hunting.
it was a
It's
black
coming right
male.
at me.
And at the time, the eyes is what drew me in. Were completely wide open, and made eye contact with the individual driving the vehicle.
So you looked eye to eye with the person who hit your daughter.
I did.
Did you see him in the courtroom today?
I do.
Can you point him out by where he's seated and what he's wearing?
But
He's
he's
seated
got a
in-
mask
Mr. Brooks,
on.
Take off his face mask.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks.
He is seated at the table located over here. He's got a gray suit on, a blue shirt, and a tie.
Let the record reflect that witness has identified the defendant, Darrell Brooks.
I don't agree to being
Objection,
called
I do not.
defendant.
Consent to being called that name, nor do I know any individual by that name, Your Honor.
The record will reflect that the witness has identified the defendant as the driver of the SUV that struck his
And
car.
that she doesn't give a damn
My
about his
objection be
objection.
noted for the record as well, Your Honor.
I've heard it.
It's noted.
Did, from your observations, you didn't see anyone else in the car, correct?
I did not.
Did the defendant, was he flailing his arms? Do you recall where his hands were?
I do not recall any hand movement. My
I
main
didn't hear all
recollection
caps.
Is the face, specifically the eyes.
Do you appear to be in control of the car?
Yes.
Did the vehicle stop after hitting your daughter?
The
No,
vehicle did not stop
it
after
drove
hitting my
through the
daughter.
dancing grannies
Although,
after hitting his
As I
daughter.
stated before, I do not have recollection of exactly where the vehicle went, other than getting back towards the center of Main Street.
It went through the
As the
dancing
car was
grannies.
coming towards your location, could you estimate the speed?
Objection, how could he estimate
I
speed?
have no way of estimating the exact speed, but I would say way too fast for the situation.
Good answer.
So you indicate that you were friends with Matt Harris and his family?
Objection, relevancy
Overruled.
to this particular
Yeah.
witness.
Overruled. It goes to context and
Grounds.
background.
Grounds for that.
It's overruled.
Context and
It-
background.
It's
irrelevant.
not
You
irrelevant.
may answer.
That's correct.
He was there
Can you
with
say that
the
Brindley
Harris
was
family.
standing near Kelsey when Kelsey got hit?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled.
Brindley was standing directly to Kelsey's left, to her east.
And
did you see
Brindley
after
Harris's
November
father
21st?
testified.
Yes, I've seen Brindley after November.
Or was it? It
Shortly
was her
after
mother.
November 21st of last year?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled.
Yes.
Did she have any type of medical dressing on her at that time?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled.
Grounds for that. Overruled.
Relevant.
Yes, she had a full cast on.
Her leg?
Yes,
Or-
her leg.
Thank you.
So she's the one that broke 4 toes and her tibia and fibula because he ran her over. Which makes me wonder, did the bumper or fender hit her shin,
Thank you.
or
Any
as
questions?
it
Mr. Brooks?
as the
Yes.
tire ran over her foot, or was it a twisting motion as she fell, which
May
would have
claim that
been a
you
bad injury?
locked eyes with the driver of the vehicle. Would that be fair to say?
But I don't remember
That is
locking
correct.
eyes with you.
And approximately
If
how
it was
far
me
was
in
the
the
vehicle
car.
from you when you supposedly locked eyes?
I would estimate it 20 feet.
Would it be fair to say that
It came a lot closer than 20
that's
feet,
about
though.
as far as I am from you now? Or was the vehicle further than where I am now from you?
I would state that it was probably a little bit closer.
And what do you mean by a little bit closer?
It was a little bit closer.
I would say perhaps halfway, maybe 3/4 of the way between where you're seated right now and where I'm seated right now.
What would be 3/4 of the way? Can you like point about where?
Again, I estimated at about 20 feet. So
20 feet. He gave an
Would
answer.
it be fair to say that halfway between you and I would not be an accurate
No,
statement
no.
of 20 feet?
He said 20 feet. This is
Grounds.
argumentative.
Overruled. He may answer the question.
that's why I stated it was about 3/4 of the way.
So about what spot would it be?
You got a
by
lot
this
closer
black,
to him. Stop fixating on when he says
I
you
guess I
locked
don't know what
eyes.
that is.
You
I don't
got
know if that's a
closer.
door
This
excuse
was
me,
a
what is it?
It's an
dynamic
electrical box?
situation.
Would it be by this electrical box? Would it be this square directly
It's a
next to
dynamic
the
situation, not a
electrical
static
box?
moment.
I mean, what
It's video, not
specifically
photograph.
what would you say would be 3/4 of the way?
Jesus.
So the electrical box would be a good estimation of the distance. However, it was a little further to my left than where the electrical box was because it was coming at us at more of
So
a.
it would be a little further.
Let
this
him
way,
answer. Don't
towards-
interrupt him.
Coming back towards the table here.
Your Honor, I just ask that the defendant allow the witness to answer the question before he asks the next question.
Exactly.
I agree. The record should also
And
reflect that
he's-
as the witness
see,
was
he's been
answering
asking-
the question,
he's
he
been
was
asking,
motioning with
Are
his
there any victims?
left arm in a
There aren't any
direction
victims.
outstretched kind of from front of his body to the left of his body. He probably had a 45-degree angle to demonstrate that his observation of the vehicle was in that direction. You may ask the question again then, so the witness
He's
can
maddening.
answer from there.
So you would estimate that it was
20 feet.
in relation to where the electrical box is, probably approximately around like this general area right here.
To my direction, probably a little bit to the left of there.
Just so the record is clear, Mr. Brooks is standing up at his table. He's pointing what would be pretty much directly in front of him, but to my left of the electrical box.
Did they use the laser
We have large
Scanner.
squares of carpet. It would be a square and a half
like
to
they
the
did
left,
for the
my left. Mr.
speed
Brooks, right.
For
estimation?
the record, I'm a third party, Your Honor.
You're not a third party.
Stated for the record, I don't identify by that name.
You are not a third party. You
Lack of
state you're a
consent is
third
noted.
party.
Next
The
question,
court
please.
does not agree with
I don't
third
think some of
party.
the jurors. in
You
the
are
back
the
can see
defendant.
the black electrical box.
Sure, why don't we have our
Just
sheriff stand for a moment? So that we can be clear that they're seeing that. Thank you. All right. So the record should reflect that the jurors are all standing to take a look at where the electrical box is.
And the
of course,
prosecutor
squares of carpet next to
went
that.
to stand by it
I
because
think you may
Mr.
be
Brooks
seated.
couldn't
Next
because
question,
he's
sir.
shackled.
And you would say from that general distance, you were able to clearly lock eyes
Said
with
yes. He
a
said he
vehicle that
locked
was
eyes.
passing you
Not with the
at
vehicle,
a
with
speed
the
that you say
driver,
was
with the
too
traveler.
fast.
As I stated before, the vehicle was not necessarily passing me, it was coming straight at me. And yes,
I have
I was
other
able
names
to lock
for him
eyes.
than Bozo.
And do you recall if the vehicle had any tint?
Not
I
in
do
front.
not, excuse me, I do not recall if the vehicle had any tinted windows. I assume, is that what you're referring to?
Yes, tint, yes.
I do not recall if the vehicle had any tinted windows.
Were you able to, you clearly were able to make the color of the vehicle, would that be fair to say?
That is correct.
And were you able to make out the make and model of the vehicle?
I was not.
And were you able to see
Well,
if there were
then
any
not
occupants
guilty.
in the vehicle other than the driver?
He couldn't tell
I
it was
only
the Ford
saw one
Escape.
occupant
Not
in the
guilty.
vehicle.
Did you get a license plates of the vehicle?
License
I did
plate.
not get a license plate for the vehicle.
He was
Do you
looking
recall
at
what the
your
driver
eyes.
was wearing?
I do not recall what the driver was wearing.
It was a
So
year
it'd be fair
ago.
to say that all you looked at was the eyes then, and not the entire face.
What were you
I
wearing
saw the face
on your face?
of the occupant, the driver of the vehicle. I did not see pants or
Clothing
make
isn't
out any
face.
shirt or jacket or any other markings.
I didn't ask about pants, but
The witness answered your question. Next question, sir.
I would like to get to it, Your Honor.
Exactly. I make sure to have my phone out recording when I'm run over.
Did you observe
which I
the
guess is
vehicle
more
strike
likely to
anyone
happen
while
at a
it was
parade
coming
than in
toward you?
general. But
I didn't. I did not.
After it had passed you?
Yes,
after
I
it passed
observed the
you up,
vehicle striking my
that's
3-year-old
not a
daughter,
complete
Kelsey.
sentence.
After that point?
I did not.
Because clearly hitting his 3-year-old
You
daughter isn't
stated
enough.
that when the vehicle was coming towards you, it turned away. It was turning away.
After striking his daughter,
Yes, as the vehicle was coming directly towards our group,
it
it
eventually
did make
turned
a
away.
turn from a northwest direction to a westerly direction down Main Street.
Would it be fair to say that that direction that it turned was turning away from you?
After striking his daughter,
Correct. It was
eventually,
turning towards the middle of the street.
you were too late. You already struck 3 people there
But
before turning
generally
away.
turning away from the area that you and your children were standing at that point in time.
Correct.
It must be so difficult.
From your observation.
I mean, I may be playing this up a little bit for the camera myself,
From your observation, why do you think the
but
vehicle would have
you
been
probably
turning away
would
from
see
you?
steam coming from
Grounds.
my ears.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Grounds for the sustain, Your Honor.
Calls for speculation.
What the hell is a sustain? At some point, the judge needs to clarify.
Were you injured
What
in
is a
any way?
sustain?
I was not physically injured.
His daughter was. She had a torn spleen and a broken nose and needed facial surgery.
And would you
Have you
would it be
seen
fair to
the
say that you would describe the scene
video?
as pretty
I
chaotic
think it's
at
in
that point?
Cleveland of the father giving the victim
Absolutely.
impact statement about a serial killer, and he turned and looked at him and then dove over counsel table to
Sorry
try to
interrupt. How
pummel
much
him.
longer do you have? The
I-
only
I've-
reason I ask is there's some weather coming in and I've had some alerts and I want to make sure everyone gets to a safe location. There's a tornado warning, not for
A
us. just
tornado
yet, but,
warning.
So.
Wow.
I'll let you finish, but I may be interrupting if another alert comes in. Are they going out? All right, we're gonna take our lunch early then, and all rise for the jury. Sorry for the interruption, Mr. Brooks.
What? Finish my
You
question.
will, you will.
Wow. That wasn't on my bingo card. He hit people all over. He was swerving to avoid vehicles. He didn't care that he was hitting people. His objective was to keep going. So it's I don't get it. I really don't get it. And I agree. Well, keep him shackled, but send him outside to check. Except then you have to have a deputy with him, and it's just maybe open the window to his cell, see if he blows away, put him on the roof. But with that, since it's lunchtime, I know I'm behind. I'm going to go eat a very quick lunch myself. It's the weather manipulation. It's weird. We don't have tornado sirens here. Tornadoes are so rare. But I'm going to go eat my lunch. I'm going to kill this stream. I'll see you guys shortly on the next stream. So, thanks for joining me this morning. I'll be back soon.